Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to round 3 of our Octane Online Racing Le Mans Ultimate Series. We are at Monza, and a very wet Monza it is. My name is Tim Gubb. Joining me in the box today is Benjamin Hignett, and later on, slightly for qualifying, we have Blake Griffiths joining us, so we will introduce her once she jumps in. But for now, you'll be stuck with me as qualifying gets kicked on right now. It looks like we're back to private qualifying session, so every car is in their own track, perhaps due to the chaos the first race we've had. But that should be an exciting one. Obviously, wet Monza, the temple of speed. Always good racing going on there. Personally, not the biggest fan of this track, but most people absolutely adore this track, as we're currently on board with one of the LMDH cars with the beautiful, beautiful HUD that LMU provides for this. That should be good. Obviously, they've got 7 minutes and 40 seconds to go for this qualifying session. Wet Monza, so obviously it's going to be very technical, especially with the wet, and the LMDH is not having ABS, so braking technique is going to be crucial in the wet, as we're currently looking at the Cadillac of, unsure who that is, it looks like Carl Gibbons, the blue caddy, as he currently goes through Lesmo 1 and 2 for his, I think he's done his outlap, so I think that will be his first lap if he still is valid, as we go on board with him right now. Another interesting about racing in the wet is obviously the spray is going to be a big factor, especially when cars are racing side by side, as we see currently. Gibbons going through Ascari down the back straight towards Parabolica. So we're watching him right now. Yep. So he goes through Parabolica now and will set his first lap. So no laps have been put on the grid yet. But I think this is going to be our first one. And yep. So it's going to be a 144.4 for Carl Gibbons, which puts him on provisional pole. In second place at the moment, 4 seconds behind is the Peugeot of Mark Bushell. Now, Mark Bushell and Pete are both running the wingless Peugeot, interestingly enough. Unsure how well that car does in the wet, as we see Eaton in another Peugeot. Now, I'm not sure if Eaton is running the wingless Peugeot as well, but currently 2 seconds down from Gibbons. So Gibbons still on provisional poles. GT3 still have not put their first laps in, but it looks like the M4 of I think that is Austin McNeil is about to put down his first lap and setting the pace for the GT3s. See him going through the start finish line now. It will be a 158.3 for provisional pole for GT3s. Obviously, there's still 5 minutes of qualifying to go. Times are most likely going to get faster as we see Collins going in the lead of GT3 now with a 58.098, closely followed by Kugali with a 58.2. Hill 2 seconds behind. We still see more hypercars. That's the hypercar of Pete. That is a wingless Peugeot. Currently, provisional P2, only 0.1 behind Gibbons, so that is a solid effort in that car. Obviously, since this is a private qualifying session, I'm not sure what will happen to how much water will be left on the track towards the end of the session. I know when there is multiple cars, the best laps usually come to the very end of the session where the track is a bit drier, but since they're all driving on their own, basically, I wonder if the track is just going to stay as wet as it is and perhaps make it more fair, if that's the question, if that's the right way to say it. I personally think with multiple cars, it makes qualifying more interesting because it gives it a bit of a strategic aspect to it. You really want to get your lap as late as possible so you can get the fastest lap on track, as Lucas Keys currently in provisional pole with a 57.5 in the Porsche 992 GT3R, as we have a replay of another Porsche going through the chicane. So perhaps did a bit of a spin. Yeah, too early on the gas, especially with the wet tarmac. The tires couldn't grip up and he just had a bit of a spin there. Not catastrophic. Obviously, this lap is gonna be in the bin, but he has time to go around and put in another one as we're back on board with Lucas Keys. Now, another thing I wish they could improve with this LMU HUD is we don't see their delta on the top left. So I am unsure if these drivers currently are improving on their lap times or not. The only way we'll find out is when they cross that start-finish line, as we're currently looking at the hypercar of Pete. Currently, he's moved up to provisional pole. Looks like Gibbons got jumped by 2 cars, actually, as we have the Ferrari of Cam also taking provisional P2. So currently, the time to beat for hypercars, a 44.1. But anything still happen. We've got Curry as well in the BMW. We've seen him be absolutely rapid in Le Mans Ultimate, so he's not a driver to just ignore. Perhaps at the end of qualifying, he'll jump these guys again. But yeah, honestly, personally, not a big fan of the single car qualifying. I would prefer perhaps doing it like the real cars where hypercars go out and then GT3s go out. Although I think it's the other way around. GT3s go out first and then hypercars go out. Always gives a more interesting aspect to qualifying, in my opinion. As Lucas Keys still on provisional pole for GT3s still with a 57.5. So it doesn't look like he's managed to improve just yet, as we're back with Austin McNeil currently going down the back straight. So we'll see what he has to offer to Lucas. We all know that McNeil is also not a slow driver. He's a very, very quick operator, especially in LMU. So we'll see what he'll be able to pull as he goes through Parabolica, goes tight and goes through the start-finish line. And looks like he does not manage to improve on his time, so he'll still be stuck with a 58.1. Back on board with another Porsche. I think that is the Porsche of Lucas Keys. Let's see if he can improve his time from a 57.5. He's got Kugali close behind him with a 57.7, I think. So we'll see if he manages to improve this time, and he does not manage to improve from the 57.5. So I think the track definitely not getting better. That is a result of only having single cars on track, as we have our other host, Miss Blake Griffith, joining us in the box. How are you, Blake?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks, Tim. How are you doing?
Doing all right, doing all right. Bit hectic as we see a hypercar. So that is a winged hypercar. So I'm guessing that is the hypercar of Eden. Looked like he took a bit too much curb out of his carry and spins it into the wall, and that will be qualifying done for him.
It's
Back
pretty
on board,
wet.
Lucas Keys.
It's very wet.
Oh, very, very wet. It is very wet indeed. There should be an interesting race. What do you think is going to happen at race start for this?
A lot of wheel spin, I think, first and foremost. Refresh my memory, Tim. The hypercars definitely start in front of the GT3s, right?
Yep, hypercars do start in front of GT3s. If a hypercar for some reason decides to not qualify, or for some reason gets out qualified for a GT3 somehow, they'll have to start from a pit lane.
Okay. From memory, these cars don't have ABS as well, the hypercars. Now, I remember Cam Thistlethwaite talking about this is for the last track, but obviously everyone knows Monza T1. It is one of the most infamous corners in sim racing and even real life out there. So they might be a bit tentative on the brakes, trying not to lock up in the wet. And I hope no bullheaded GT3s come in too hot, because they'll close that gap and cause a strike, if you will. So hopefully it's relatively safe. We do like our content, but it could be a little bit messy.
Yep, definitely agree with you on that one. But knowing the drivers in OR, a lot of them are really aggressive. So as much as I want to say they're going to take it safe on T1, I think a couple are going to be a bit too excited, and we might see some contact at the front.
There's just there's this thing where, like, if most of the field is taking it pretty safe, there's one or two people that go, I could make up ground here. Like, there's room for me here. I can get it in there. I can send it down the inside, and that's often where the trouble ends up lying. So we will see if anyone, dare I say, wants to be selfish, but it's up to your predisposition on racing, I guess. But right now we've got Papaya now with a 144.1 and Keys, Rukus Keys with a 157.5. So Cuggly getting quite close too. So that's good to see.
It looks like the GT3s. In fact, both these fields are pretty close to each other. It looks like the guys at the back struggling a bit more. Obviously, the wet is what a lot of people call the great equalizer, but that was a good qualifying set. So, on pole position will be Peter Papainu, followed by Cameron Thistlethwaite in P2. In P3 will be Callum Gibbons and Mark Bushell. Obviously, the two Peugeots being wingless, so they'll be happy with those results. Henny Curry, P5, followed by Andrew McFarlane. And now, I know Curry won't be happy with that position because normally he's at the forefront of the field. As in 7th place, we have Xavier Eden, and he'll close off the hypercar field. In P1 for GT3s will be Lucas Keys, followed by Louis Kugali and Bailey Collins, followed by Austin McNeil and Ash Johnston, currently in 12th position overall, which are followed by Alex Pasca Armstrong and Graham Hill. Also have the Ferrari of Jacob Maggs and the BMW in Chris Brooker in P15 and P16. In P17, we have Elwood Rambler, followed by Damiano Turcalini in P18. And in P19, we'll have Simon Van Graden and Miles Johnston in P20. And in P21, closing off the field, will be the McLaren of Ryan Smith.
Ryan Smith #4288 is a pretty wild last name.
It sounds like they straight up used their Discord name there.
Oh, it's does it look a little bit dry to you?
Indeed it does. It looks like perhaps they are going to be starting on a dry track. As I look for one of the streams, yes, it is indeed dry. So we've been told that this was going to be a wet race, but perhaps they're going to be starting as a dry race. So that's going to be very interesting. Obviously, now strategy is going to play a very big part in this. Now, I'm unsure when the rain is going to start, but we may see some drivers opting to start on the wets so they can avoid not pitting. Now, I have been told that the hypercars can do a non-stop strategy. As we see, the road surface is quite shiny, so perhaps although it is not raining, the track is still wet.
Yeah, it looks a little bit greasy. So enlighten me. I presume the blue wall on the wheels means they have wet tires on. Is that correct?
That is correct. So it looks like most drivers, if not all drivers, currently running wet tires. So perhaps looking for the no-stop strategy as they go down the start-finish straight for race start at Monza. And as we see the hypercar field already building a small gap to the GT3s, but that will change once they go into Monza T1. Obviously, Monza T1, very, very slow chicane. So the GT3s are going to have to be a bit careful as we see the Porsche in the background spinning into the wall and collects the Ferrari. The Ferrari manages to keep it on track, and it looks like that's race done for that Porsche, as I think I saw one of its wheels fly off the car. So that's very, very unfortunate for, I think that is the Porsche of Turcolini.
No, Damiano, he had a shocker last week, and that's a really, really bad way to start. I think he just touched a bit of the grass, and I think it just spun the rear end around. That is heartbreaking to me. But it looks like we've gotten through relatively unscathed for the rest of the fields. But yeah, so no rain on the start. My prediction has not come to fruition. These guys all getting through relatively fine. I did see a penalty for Kugali or Kugli. I don't know. See, that's already returned to pit. But yeah, penalty coming through in the top left, so I'm not sure what that quite entails in this game. But yes, so about halfway through our first lap.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate for Turcolini. Obviously, LMU's damage model is much, much, much more. What's the correct word?
Encompassing, like it's more depth to it than ACC.
Yeah, so you can get terminal damage in LMU, and like I said, when Turk hit the wall, I think I saw one of his wheels fall off the car, and obviously can't really drive on 3 wheels. So it's much easier to get terminal damage in LMU. And unlike ACC, if you do have to return to garage, that's just a straight up DNF. So that is very unfortunate for Turks.
Bushel here just getting past Papayanu into T1 there. They went side by side and he just managed to get through. Did a car just wink out of existence in the back there?
Yes, it appears that. I also have seen that as Bushel a bit too deep on the brake, has to cut the chicane, but still stays ahead of Papayanu. And yes, I have seen that car blinking as well. That's another thing about LMU. We've said this multiple times, but we do not have local servers for LMU yet, so all the servers we use are all based in Europe, so ping is a pretty big factor at the moment, but we're hoping to get local servers very soon so we don't have to deal with these issues anymore, as we're back on the race start with Damiano. And yes, as you said, went on the grass, started braking, hits the Ferrari, but Ferrari manages to bring it back on track and hits the wall, and indeed, as we see, loses what looks to be his left rear wheel of the car. And
that is
not front left, my bad, front left wheel of the car, so that's very unfortunate for him.
That's the saddest looking wheel I've ever seen. Someone edit like one of those like sad flute songs over that, because fucking hell. Oh yeah, Damiano, you can't catch a break. That's it's cool that there has all of that damage modeling though. That's very interesting.
It's definitely very interesting, but obviously it's unfortunate for some drivers that perhaps want to do the race. They prepare for these races just to have it end, not even going for T1. So that is frustrating. Perhaps they could give an option, so if you return to garage, you don't DNF, to give the driver a chance. As we see the Ferrari of Cam Thistlethwaite running into the side of the Renault of, I think that is Pete Papaioanou, or Mark Bushell, actually, because Mark Bushell's the leading Peugeot at the moment. So it looks like Papaioanou got passed by Thistlethwaite as well, because I'm pretty sure he was in P2 after Bushell passed him, but it looks like Cam managed to pass him as well.
Yeah. So nicely done by Thistlethwaite to move up the field. We had a yellow flag there for just a second, but yeah, maybe Papaioanou just not faring too well on the wet tires on a relatively dry track. But we will see how that plays out for them. But the hypercars got about a 20-second gap back to the GT3 cars so far, so we're just riding on board with a few of them. I believe this is Austin McNeil in this BMW, followed by Johnston. Was that Miles Johnston, or do we have two Johnstons again? We have two Johnstons again. Fantastic.
So I think the Johnston in the McLaren will be Miles Johnston.
Yeah.
And the one in the Aston, unfamiliar with the name. Perhaps you can help me with that one.
I'll have a quick look. I'll find it out.
As we go on board with Austin McNeil as the GT3s go down the back straight. Now, there's another thing about starting on wet tires. If it doesn't rain soon, they are going to start overheating, and I am thinking they are already overheating as the cars have gone around the track quite a few times now. So if the rain doesn't come soon, these guys might be in trouble.
So that would be Ashley Johnston in the 777 Aston Martin.
Thank you very much, Blake. But yeah, as these cars come around, as you see, the track is not as shiny anymore. So these drivers probably praying for rain now as they're all driving on the wet tires.
Yeah, it's interesting. They all took wet, so it would imply to me that they were anticipating rain relatively soon. Like no one's taken a gamble on running slicks. So as we're getting a replay here, I'm not sure who this is, unfortunately, but we shall see as McLaren just a little bit of overspeed on that Ferrari and unfortunately taps the rear. It's kind of how it can go through T1 and Monza. We've all been there.
So that looked like Mags, Hill, and Brooker going into T1. A bit of contact there. As you said, McLaren just a bit too deep on the brakes. Rear ends the Ferrari. Luckily for both of them, they don't hit the wall, or it could have been a lot worse, should I say. As we see the Peugeot of Pete collecting Bushell as he goes off track. Oh no!
Oh my! I feel like I've seen that happen, like picture for picture in real life as well. So Papaioanou just getting a lot of speed and tries to make the move on Thistlethwaite. I think they must have touched rears a little and then just sliding across that wet grass and collects Bushell magnificently, terribly, choose your adjective. So Thistlethwaite copying a little bit of damage, but those two Peugeots are going to be a little bit sorry, I think, for the last 52 minutes. And at the last 52 minutes, it's a pretty long time. There's a lot of race to go.
Yeah, obviously that is not ideal. And it looked like Bushell as well. Looked like he locked up his front tires. So that also seemed to have been a play because he was going around that corner a bit too quickly from what I could see. It could have been netcode, but I do think he did go a bit too deep on the brakes trying to defend from Cam Thistlethwaite. And I think that had a small factor to play with that collision. Obviously, that was a bit naughty from Pete. He went a bit too late on the brakes and perhaps tried to avoid the rear end of Thistlethwaite, which ended up with him going on the grass and collecting Bushell instead.
Yeah, we'll see if anything comes from that, but I don't know. It's one of those things. We obviously have mentioned the ping tonight, and we mentioned it before. Following behind someone that close I feel like it's a little bit of a roll of the dice, and unfortunately the dice did not pay dividends for Papaioanou that time.
Yep, I definitely agree with you on that one.
Are we on for an Isota podium again? I believe it podiumed last week, and that was pretty special.
Yep, definitely agree with you on that one. Still no rain, so I'm wondering if also tires overheating had a play in that, because obviously the wet tires not liking the dry, it is much easier to lock up in those. So perhaps if they're used to driving on a dry track with slicks, especially the hypercars, since they do not have ABS, perhaps they forget that they're on wet tires, or they overestimate the capabilities of these specific tires in the dry, and it makes it so they just brake a tiny bit too deep here and there, forgetting that obviously they don't have the grip of the slicks. So that could have been another factor there.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a pretty challenging set of circumstances they're finding themselves in, and it's not going to get any easier. And then it honestly could be too late for the rain to come anyway, because they might have worn those slicks down. Those wet tires down to slicks, pretty much. I'm not sure how advanced the tire model is in this game, but I think it'll be pretty apparent if and when it does rain. But Hypercar's just catching up to. I don't think they're catching the full field yet. That might just be someone running a little bit behind, but I am ready to eat my words. But Gibbons just the big winner though from all of that, but he's having to defend from Curry, and Curry having a look at the inside, showing the mirrors, but there's not quite a move to be there, and just tucks back in. Maybe next time around.
Yep, and that's another interesting thing about Monza. Obviously, Monza is extremely iconic circuit. Everyone knows Monza, so all these drivers will be really familiar with the place, and that will make lap traffic, I think, very interesting, because all these hypercars, not building massive gaps either. I think they're still within viewing distance, as we still see the hypercar of Cam Tittleway currently going around one of the GT3s. So, yeah, he's not building a massive gap to the cars behind.
Just getting word in that Papayanu got a drive-through for that incident we saw with Thistleweight and Bushel. So, yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to say from what we see in here, but I'm not gonna. I mean, I don't really see it either way. The stewards have spoken.
Yeah, I think drive-through penalties is the only penalties they can really give during the race. Very harsh, but to be fair, he did collect Bushel, and Bushel did end up losing 5 positions from that, from nothing from his fault. So I think DT is fair for that one. It was a bit naughty after all.
Yeah, as we're gonna get. Okay, so this is the replay.
Yeah, but as you see, Bushel did lock up. It looks like he wasn't going to make the corner anyways. But yeah, it's just unfortunate he got collected as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just is what it is. But obviously, it feels really harsh. But as you said, that's the only penalty they have. So unfortunately, there's no small stick. It's just big stick. Everyone gets a big whack here. But Papayanu actually coming into the pits now. So we'll see if that's. Oh, that would be the drive-through. But I jumped in the booth straight from work, guys. So give me a little bit of slack.
Yeah, for all very last minute here, as we see the hypercar of Gibbons actually closing the gap on Thistleweight. So Thistleweight perhaps struggling a bit more with traffic compared to Gibbons. Obviously, these hypercars, these GT3s, don't have to move out the way from these hypercars. They're technically in 2 different races, just on the same track at the same time. So the GT3s are allowed to hold their lines. Obviously, they're not allowed to defend against the hypercars. So what they have to do is hold their lines, but they do not have to move out the ways for the hypercars. It is the hypercar's duty to get around that GT3 safely. And perhaps Gibbons, maybe it's luck. Maybe he's just better at managing traffic than Cam, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, it looks like that gap just came up a little bit there, so I do think traffic may have had a hand, but it's literally and figuratively part of the game, is traffic management. As we are a bit of a mixed field coming down the pit straight. Ben Hignett, could we get the the split times instead of the tires on the heads-up display, please? Thank you. As we're coming into T1, Hypercar just squeezing past that McLaren. I do want to say I'm a little bit sad there's no Corvettes. I don't know how much I like the Corvette, but I think it's a really interesting car, and it's also obviously it's a very shiny new thing that's not in a set of Corsa Competizione. So I'm a little sad that there's not one out there tonight.
Yeah, look, apparently it's not the best GT3 in this. Although I personally love the Corvette. If I was doing this series, I'd be the car I'd be driving. Even if it's not the best car, I want to drive the car I think looks the best to me, and something a bit different to all these other cars we'll see in ACC. So Corvette would have been the way for me. I don't think it has the best top speed either down the straight, so that does not help it. As we're currently looking at the GT3 of Collins, but back to the comment of blue flags, obviously, the ideal situation for a hypercar is to just catch these GT3s down a straight. They can just easily get around them. It's when around tight corners, especially in Monza, there is a lot of tight, slow chicanes. So it is not the ideal position for a hypercar trying to go around a GT3. So the best spot for them, as we see the hypercar of Tissoway going around the GT3 of Johnston around Parabolica. And yeah, as we see Gibbons, he gets to go around them down the straight. So that is also another big factor. So luck does play a factor in this, but you still gotta be good at managing the traffic. As you see Cam catching GT3s literally on the entry of the chicane. So that just closes the gap for Gibbons even more.
Yeah, catching the leaders of the GT3 class as well, actually, so they have been lapped. Collins keeping good pace with Lucas Keys, though, keeping him on his toes.
Yeah, so Lucas Keys not building as big of a gap as I thought he would. That could be also fuel saving. I know a lot of these drivers are going for a no-stop strategy and seeing if it can make it work. And to do a no-stop strategy on a 1-hour race in LMU requires a lot of fuel saving, unlike ACC, where you can just fill up the tank at basically to the whole hour. It's mainly due to virtual energy in the car. So the way these cars are bought is something they call virtual energy, and each cars deplete virtual energy at a different rate than the other. So that is another big factor in this race. As we see, it looks to be a bit darker now. So perhaps the rain's starting to come in, and it could not come in any sooner.
Yeah, we've had a couple of yellow flags flashing there, so I think someone's had probably a bit of an adventure off the grass, but Collins showing in the mirror of Keys, but there's nothing to be done just yet at Parabolica, and honestly, I don't think that would have even registered for Lucas with that gap. But yeah, I think who's our rain dancing person as Bushell coming into the pits, actually, interestingly.
Perhaps trying to fix his damage. As we see Collins looking around the inside of Lucas, decides not to go for the move. He's just not quite close enough. See, everyone will know Lucas. He's a extremely quick operator, so he knows a thing or two about defending his position as well. You know, a lot of people just see him go in front and just go away in the distance, but unlike some people may think, he is a very, very good racer as well and knows how to defend and knows where to pass people. So it's not just he goes ahead into the distance and does his own race. He actually does know how to race.
I like the idea of someone that's so fast that they've never actually done any racing with anyone. Like they qualify first, they just drive off, and they've never raced door to door with anyone. That would be such an absurd concept. But that's not what's happening here tonight. Lucas Keys is having to work for it. We've still got 2/3 of this race to go. The first act just coming to a close, and it's still dry, which is pretty interesting. Bailey Collins again showing a little bit, but it's a pretty hard spot to get done through Ascari. And we've got our very, very futuristic heads-up display. I love it. bouncing over those curbs. They go and down the back straight.
Yeah, I love these displays that we have. We see all the information we need. See the brake pressures, how they're applying the brakes, how much virtual energy they have left, their speed, obviously, what gear they're in. So it gives us all the information we need to see how these drivers are driving as well. And I always found that very interesting. Obviously, a lot of people do, especially if people are still learning. If you're new to sim racing, you get to see how these guys drive, how they apply their brakes. It just gives you all that little small detail and information that you'll need to improve your driving.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a lot to be learned by watching people that are better than you. I actually, not that I got to do a lot of practice, but at Snetterton, I was kind of scratching my head going, I cannot get any faster. What's happening? But obviously people are going faster than me. I just sat there in the practice and watched a couple of guys do laps, and I was like, oh, all right, okay, and improved a little bit from that. So it's like something so easy that you can do to just see as well, like how they're using the track and like where they're apexing, and definitely the inputs. Like inputs, obviously humongous. But our GT3 runners just have Papayanu coming through. Papayanu back in 5th and Bushel back all the way down to 7th, last in class. So those guys are really paying the price for that T1 incident.
Oh, definitely. They've got a lot of work ahead of them to catch the hypercar field. But Papayanu's still ahead of Eaton, so I'm wondering if Eaton had an incident of his own. As we're on board in the BMW of Austin McNeil, also chasing down Bailey Collins. So now Collins does have to be careful, because if he pushes too much and tries to catch Lucas, or maybe Lucas perhaps tries to back him off into McNeil, that could give McNeil the opportunity to go for a pass on Collins as well. So if Collins doesn't pay attention to his rearview mirror, he might have a very, very enthusiastic Austin McNeil. As we see the windshield wipers kicking in now, so it looks like the rain has finally decided to come.
Wipers on, everyone get excited. Oh, a bit of a slide there from Eaton in front of these guys. It shouldn't have too much problem getting away, but it looks like the rain might be finally coming. Thank you, whoever was doing your rain dance, as we see those beautiful speckles on the windshield of Bailey Collins.
Definitely agree, but I think these drivers are also going to be saying thank you for the rain, because driving on a dry track with wet tires definitely isn't fun. It is a bit of torture, honestly. But they'll be praising for that rain. Their tires are finally gonna be able to go down in temperature, but they had to have driven with these tires for about 23 minutes now. So even with the rain, wondering if the tires are just shot now and then may not even feel nice in the wet anyways.
Yeah, I think it could potentially be a worst of both worlds, where they've been crap for the dry track and now they're going to be pretty mediocre for a wet track.
Lucas Key's going a bit slidey for Ascari, and that gives Collins a bit of a run now. Collins is in the slipstream of the Porsche, and if I remember correctly, the Mustang as well, just as strong down the straight as it is on ACC. As he looks around the outside, as they go side by side through Parabolica while it is raining, but looks like Collins goes a bit too wide, and Lucas just manages to hold the lead. And with him going that wide, we're back on board with McNeil. McNeil has closed the gap a bit to him, so yeah, he's really going to have to be careful now. And obviously the rain being the great equalizer, as we have a hypercar coming out the pits. Really not an ideal situation for that hypercar to catch these GT3s as they're coming out the pits, as we really starting to have a good three-way battle here for the GT3 lead.
Yeah, a bit of a slide there coming out of the first chicane for Collins. But yeah, McFarlane coming out of the pits, which is interesting because I didn't think this is a race with a stop, but potentially this is where the situation has kind of forced the hands of some people.
I definitely agree. Now, I think everyone started on wets, but I'm unsure. Perhaps a couple people started on slicks, which is why they decided to pit. Or maybe just the wet tires just felt way too worn, and it could have been a strategic play. Obviously, if the tires are worn, the wets might feel mediocre for other drivers, while, let's say, Mark Fowler's wets being fresh might feel fantastic, and he might be able to jump a few drivers here and there.
Yeah, but he's got a bit of a gap. He's got 10 seconds to the next car, and there's 10 seconds on that, the one ahead of that, and then 30 seconds from there. So we'll see how they go. But these guys are looking awful slidey now, as Collins is collecting a little bit of gravel. McNeil's going to have a better run down this straight, and a move could be on, but wait a second. Bushell is approaching. Oh my god, that is a toe curler, sending it through the traffic with this sort of ping in this game. Mark Bushell. Oh, how do you like that one? But McNeil is actually going to benefit from that, and we'll see as these guys drag race down the pit straight. McNeil on the inside, he might have the better position going into the first chicane. Collins in that big beefy Mustang with all of those horses under the hood. He's actually catching up now, and they're side by side. Lucas Keys doesn't even know what's happening behind him. Collins just gets ahead a little bit, but McNeil gets a little bit slidey, and they both do a little bit of a drift out of the corner, and Collins able to regain that position. Someone
did a massive spin. Who was that? I think that was the Aston of Johnston in the background.
Who are you watching? But yeah, that would have been Johnston in the 777 Aston Martin. But yeah, that was just about as spicy as you like it. Really, that was great.
So perhaps tire wear did have a play in this, and maybe the tires just feel a bit too worn for these drivers, or perhaps it's the changing conditions. Obviously, they've been locked in on a drier track, so they've been driving this track pretty much dry for 23 minutes, and now all of a sudden they have to adapt to wet conditions. So that is probably another factor. As we see, yeah, the Aston of Johnson just completely spinning. So obviously it's not just Johnston struggling there, it's pretty much everyone. So I do think, as we see another BMW, but that looks like the BMW of McNeil spinning.
What's McNeil?
At the exit of Ascari. So yeah, I think it's definitely catching these drivers off guard this weather.
Oh, it's looking quite wet now. Sorry to have cut you off there, but yeah, McNeil just collecting a bit too much inside curb and just wiggling and waggling both ways, and or all the way around. That's a rough one. He's going to have to work his way back, but Johnston's probably actually going past him there. Yeah, McNeil also lost a position to Rambler, so a lot of work to do, but still half a race to go. It's not quite over yet.
You know what? He's lucky to have kept that one off the wall. So yeah, it just looked like just ate a bit too much curb, and now the track is completely wet. So it's a mix of taking too much curb and then curb itself being wet. Obviously, that would have been the dry line, but now that it is wet, that line is not the line you want to be taking anymore. But he probably was locked into that line since they started on the dry. So that is another factor that's going to play in this race. Now they're going to have to use completely different lines for the wet conditions.
Yeah, it's look at the spray now. All of that wash coming from the diffusers of these cars. It's just the ante has been upped, if you will.
Definitely. As we see another car going off track, so all these drivers just completely getting caught off guard on not being able to adapt to the changing conditions. But that BMW definitely struggling. As that hypercar goes for a very, very tight gap onto that BMW. That BMW looked a bit squirrely there. So yeah, these drivers definitely struggling there. So this is going to be a very, very, very interesting race from now on.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have sent my Cadillac through that gap. That was It didn't look consistent. That BMW, as you said, was dancing a little bit there, but I think they're all struggling. I think all of these tires are just they're probably not very treaded anymore. So everyone's just having to tiptoe around here.
I think they're pretty much running on intermediates or even slightly slick tires. Obviously, if these drivers have had lockups as well, maybe some of them are running with flat spots, which does not help at all. It looks like we see a GT3 going into the pits now, about halfway through the race. So perhaps GT3's needing to do that pit stop anyways. So now that it's at the 30-minute mark, we may see some stops happening, well, right about now.
Yeah, or maybe the big brain play was to anticipate the rain coming halfway through, swapping your tires halfway through, getting the fuel and losing next to nothing as you gain all that back with fresh, wet tires. Maybe.
Yeah, perhaps. Obviously, the tires are not mandatory in this, so that's another thing. If you don't have to change tires, why change tires? A lot of these drivers, if they do have to pit, will focus on just putting fuel, maybe putting a bit more virtual energy into the car for the rest of the race. Obviously, putting tires does add to your pit stop time. But I've noticed on Le Mans Ultimate, apart from damage, obviously, the biggest part of the pit stop that actually takes a lot of time is refilling energy itself, which surprises me a bit.
We just saw, I was just going to point out, Thistlewaite's lost a bunch of time and just having a big slide through, is that Curva Grande? So he's about 3 seconds back from Curry, and Gibbons actually takes the lead in that beautiful blue Cadillac.
Yeah, correct you. I think that was Lesmo 1.
Dang. I'm going to get a bad graded Monza, which is possible to achieve. But yeah, so Gibbons just inheriting the race lead as we are on board. Oh my god. They just turned in and there's just no grip. There's nothing.
Yeah, these drivers definitely struggling there, and Cancel we're going to be kicking himself over that one. He had a pretty good lead until then. But, still P3, and he still has a 40-second gap to the car behind him. So it's not the end of the world. Obviously, Cam, very quick operator as well. A pure Le Mans Ultimate enjoyer, if I say so myself. He's only 7 seconds behind. You can find 7 seconds in a 28-minute race, obviously. So yeah, the hypercar of Gibbons is still struggling as well, and close behind him is the BMW of Curry. So he's not in the clear yet. Excuse me, that's not the BMW of Curry. That is the Peugeot of Bushel. So it looks like Bushel getting lapped by Gibbons. So that is not ideal for him. Obviously, there's not much he can do about that one. Obviously, with the early incident, probably had to pit for damage. The car probably felt undrivable. You see these hypercars now going through that GT3 field in the wet with all that spray. So now it's really, you gotta trust the drivers around you to pass them safely as well. You gotta trust that they know what they're doing. You gotta trust that they're looking at their deltas, looking at basically at the hypercar behind them, knowing what the hypercar is going to do, and the hypercar is probably hoping, please GT3, please hold your line, I'm trying to get around.
Oh my god, wow, that is very, very close to going together.
That is not ideal for Lucas as well, because he had to check up on that, and that just gave Collins the opportunity to close up the gap. Collins back on the gearbox of Lucas Keys, so Lucas Keys now has 26 minutes and 30 seconds to hold off the big American Mustang of Collins.
I just had a stupid thought. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah.
Do you think Lucas's middle name is also Ryan? Do you think it's Lucas Ryan Keys, just like John Ryan Gormley?
Well, the thing is, John Ryan is legally not his middle name. His name is just John Ryan. That's his first name.
Yeah, I know. Is it Lucas Ryan Keys as well?
I don't think so.
We're seeing that yellow flag indicator pop up a few times, so people are having a few excursions, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah, it looks like they really are struggling with these conditions. I think perhaps maybe for the GT3s, if they had to pit anyways, if they knew, I don't think these drivers were expecting the rain to come so late. It's another thing, I don't think you get a weather widget for Le Mans Ultimate, so when it rains, it's basically guesswork. So these drivers probably hoping, oh yeah, it's gonna be dry for maybe 10 minutes and then it's gonna start raining. I don't think they expected it to go for basically 23 minutes.
Yeah,
Dry with wet tires, so
it's very, very wet now. You can see puddles forming on the track. I think we might have seen earlier, I'm not sure if it's actually how it works in this game, but it looks like Lucas Keys hit one and had a bit of a like snap to one side, probably like a lap or two ago now. But yeah, like really, really big puddles forming.
yeah. So now, obviously with these puddles, aquaplaning is going to be another factor there. You do not want to brake on top of these puddles. Trust me on that one. It's not gonna end up well for you if you all of a sudden have to brake very hard and end up going on top of one of these puddles. It's just gonna send you straight into a barrier. See a GT3 getting blue flag. That looks like the GT3 of... Who is that?
I would imagine that's Hill, the last running McLaren. Oh, never mind.
No, that's Smith. I think that's Smith. I think I see the numbers. Sorry, I don't have the biggest monitor, so I'm struggling to read these names on my screen. But no, I think that is the
Definitely
other McLaren.
Hill. Yeah, that's
the McLaren of Ryan.
Yeah.
Desi Ryan, sorry, it's Smith. I think his name is Ryan Smith. But no, the McLaren of Ryan Smith, hashtag 4288. Getting a lap, so I think that's one of the few drivers that's already gone for their pit stops.
It's just like, oh, I guess you guys are on a first name basis. That's fine.
Looks like we have Eaton back in the pits. I'm pretty sure Eaton went in the pits once already, so it looks like he hit it again. Unsure why.
We see Bushel's taken 2 stops as well. None of our top what is that, about 8 GT3s have pitted. Can we see the rest of the GT3 field? So Rambler taking 1 pit stop and Johnston taking 3. I'm not really sure what that's about, but I mean, you don't really pit without needing to.
Yeah, so perhaps Johnston maybe got himself into a couple incidents. Obviously you don't need more than 1 pit stops for a 1-hour race. But the fact that they've had to take 3, probably another sign that they've probably gone into a wall or something. As we're on board, Lucas Keys gets a bit slidey for Ascari, but a much better exit than the McLaren in front of him. I don't think he was expecting that McLaren to have such a slow exit, so he almost collects him, but manages to pull out the way and pass him safely. So that is good reaction time from Lucas Keys, honestly.
Yeah, that was eyes were wide there for sure. It looks like Van Graden's in the pit, apparently, according to the widget. Yep, there we go.
Yeah, so it looks like Van Graden decided to take their pit stops now.
Collins still keeping Lucas Keys right within touching distance. I think it doesn't seem like he quite has the pace to get ahead, but
as he goes off track, it looks like Lucas also struggled a bit there, going a bit slidey. Now I know in wet conditions, Lucas absolutely loves wet conditions. He is born to race in these wet conditions. We've seen in the ACC multiple times. Every time the track has been wet, Lucas has just been the dominant driver. So the fact that Collins is even managing to keep up with Lucas is an achievement in his own, and not making it easy for him. Lucas does have to keep an eye on his rear view. As we back on board, I see the slide from Lucas taking a bit too much curb, and Colin is just going a bit too wide onto the gravel. So good on these drivers to keeping it on 4 wheels. Now, there's one thing about Le Mans Ultimate is curbs are not as deadly here as they are in ACC, from my experience at least. But they can still throw the car off track. So obviously, maybe in the dry, they're used to taking that much curb and getting away with it. I know for a fact that specific curb, if you take it in ACC, it will throw your car into a wall.
Yeah, I was thinking back to McNeil's spin around, and it's one of those things. A few of the cars in ACC, if you take Ascari just a little bit wrong, especially in that exit, it's like you either have to like get over that extra sausage or get on the inside of it. If you take it just wrong, you'll send yourself off, and it kind of looks like that's what McNeil did, even though, as you're saying, this game's a little bit friendlier with the curb situation. We do have another yellow flag indicator happening, and Brooker in the pits now as well.
Yeah, there's a couple things missing in this HUD. Obviously, the track map would be nice, so we know where that yellow flag was, as we're on board with the Renault of Eaton. So he did a bit of a spin through, I think that was turn 4.
Yeah, it looks like turn 4.
So perhaps that was what the blue flag was. Honestly, I'm a bit disappointed Ethan's not taking a wingless Peugeot as well. I am here for the Peugeot Master Race, specifically the wingless Peugeot Master Race. It's a goofy-looking hypercar, and I love it. And perhaps there's a bit of French bias going on right now because I am part French, so maybe that is why I really like the Peugeot.
Oh, you like the Peugeot so much, but you confused it for a Renault earlier. What's that about?
Peugeot, Renault, same name. Honestly, out of the French cars we do have in Le Mans Ultimate, I prefer the Alpine, and that's technically a Renault. You know?
Yeah.
Alpine is a brand that's owned by Renault. It's Renault's performance. But as we see another McLaren, that is a very, very weird spin there. Not sure what's happened there. That is the 95 of. I'm unsure because there's like 2 different 95 McLarens.
Yeah, I think we just saw about 3 of them, but it was a bit spicy there, just keeping the throttle nailed as a few cars were coming in to get around the first chicane. McFarlane just coming around our leaders for GT3. Brakes hot, even in this rainy weather, big braking section into T1. So we are all familiar with, but Key's just keeping Collins about an arm's distance behind him. The gap's actually looking quite a bit bigger, so Collins maybe just had a bit of a mistake or something that we didn't quite see.
Yeah, perhaps that, or perhaps Key's now not really fuel saving anymore, decided to press on the throttle, go a bit faster. See Collins really struggling through T4 and 5 through the Variantes as they go into Lesmo 1. Lesmo 1's another one of these corners where it's a medium speed corner, so very technical. They go for Lesmo 2, and the exit on Lesmo 2 is especially important because now they're going through a straight. So if you do get a bad exit of Lesmo 2, you lose a bunch of time.
Yeah, a lot of corners like that on this track. It's obviously, what is it? There's only like 10 corners or something absurd. I think that's actually Red Bull Ring. But a lot of the corners leading onto a pretty big straight. So if you mess them up, you're just going to hemorrhage time the whole way.
Yeah, you're pretty close. There's 11 corners on this track. Obviously, one's a very, very, very simple track. But especially through the first chicane and out of the Lesmos and even Ascari, if you get a bad exit, and Parabolica as well. So all these corners, if you get a bad exit, you got a really long straight after those, so you lose a lot of time just having bad corner exits. So it's probably extra important on a track like Monza where you're pretty much pinned 90% of the time.
My grade in Monza knowledge has gone from the F to a solid C- after that one.
Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Monza either. No, it is an iconic track, but to race it. I don't enjoy it. A lot of people do. I don't.
I think
We're gonna get a bunch of hate for that one.
I don't think you will. I do think the problem. I think obviously we race in a big community. Everyone here pretty much does a lot of racing, and that means that a lot of them have done a lot of Monza because it's one of the only, like, one of the common public servers. I don't have that problem. I haven't actually raced that much Monza, so it doesn't bother me too much. But I definitely understand why people aren't that interested in it. That done it too much, and I think it's probably not quite interesting enough to do it like more than what people have. But it's fine enough to me.
Or if you're Gormley, you just for some reason don't know how to drive Monza. But
I still, I wish I clipped that John saying like, "Oh, I just remembered I don't know how to drive," or something like that. But no, big love to Gormley.
yeah, he's an alright lad. As we're currently spectating Collins. No, it looks like, yeah, Lucas definitely built a bigger gap, but he's not pulling away more than the small gap that he did build on Collins. So perhaps it was Collins making a small mistake here and there. So these two seem to be pretty equal on pace. We see the rear of the Mustang just sliding a bit here and there at the exit of Parabolica. So obviously they're not really enjoying the wet conditions. I'm wondering if the Mustang is any good in the wet here, because I know for a fact that in ACC it is not the best car, I'll just put it that way. But at the same time, that might be skill issue on my end. But that's okay. But that's fine, as we see a hypercar in the background coming in to lap the GT3 leaders. Currently looking the Aston of Johnston. Went a bit wide there as another hypercar. That's the BMW of McNeil. Going to be hunting down Johnson now. We have the hypercars just slowly coming through the field. Looks like the hypercars, since it started raining, have built a bigger gaps between each other. Now that could have been pace, or it could have been also with the multiple incidents we've seen. Obviously, only 7 hypercars in this race.
Yeah, interestingly, Corey's kept it relatively close to Givens. That's definitely not over. It's not all she wrote. But Thistlewaite also not actually really being able to make up any time as the delta is falling as soon as I say that. Okay, no, it's just the live timing thing. But yeah, Thistlewaite not really being able to make up any of that time after that slide through Lesmos. But yeah, so I think we just saw all the Peugeots coming through our GT3 field that are about a lap down from the leaders of Hypercar. As we're riding on board with, I presume this is McNeil. Bear with me.
Yep, that is McNeil, and ahead is the Aston of Johnston. God, that rhymes really well.
And there goes through Corey. Do you have a favorite hypercar, Tim?
The Alpine. I love the Alpine.
Okay.
Like I said,
why? Oh, just the French connection.
No, I think it's. I just think it looks good.
I
like the way it looks. If it was sound, I'm gonna be Mr. Basic. I'm just gonna say caddy. As we see McNeil going into the pits, it looks like the hypercars do have to pit now. Another interesting thing about Le Mans Ultimate, and if people don't know, but I'm pretty sure most people know now, is that there's still collisions in the pits. And in the earlier days, it did catch a couple drivers out where they thought, oh yeah, nah, my pit's in front of this guy, I can just go through him and stop my pits. Nah, you cannot do that in Le Mans Ultimate. You will straight up punt the car in front of you. I'm not gonna mention any names, but I have seen a couple drivers just unknowingly just run into drivers just serving their pit stops. So that's quite fun. It looks like Lucas coming at the pit. Is that Collins? Looks like Collins actually managed to undercut Lucas.
Yeah, what's happened here? Lucas is behind Collins now. Did they just come in? Did we just miss that? I was just informing someone.
It looks like they both came into the pits, and looks like Collins managed to undercut Lucas. So now he's in the lead of this GT3 field, and Lucas now has the work cut out for him and has to hunt that lead back.
That's
And if you'll
that's
excuse me, Blake, I will be right back. There is a bit of a commotion going on over here. I'll be 1 minute.
no worries, Tim. Yeah, Lucas Keys actually the driver's seat has been stolen. Collins is in charge and large of this race, and that's back to front. Don't mind me. But honestly, 10 minutes. Lucas Keys, obviously very, very good. We've sung him a lot of praises. He's a merchant of every track and every condition and every car. But 10 minutes is not a lot of time to make that back up, and that gap is looking like about a second for the moment, so that's spicy as we're going to get a replay here. So Collins pulling in front of Keys. I don't think we've quite seen exactly how that went down, but maybe just a better pit stop strategy from Collins there, so caught Lucas napping.
I am back.
Welcome back, mate. I hope everything's all right.
Everything's okay. It's just dogs arguing between each other.
Yeah, fair. We've got a couple of dogs arguing on this stream right now. Lucas Keys wants that position back. He wants to be the big dog in the doghouse, if you will. He wants the bone. He doesn't want to share with anybody, and we'll see if he can make something happen here. But Corey right now is currently in the lead, and interestingly, thank you Ben Hignett, you gem, you has 2% energy. Tim, what does that mean?
Like I said earlier, that is basically the buff of those cars. So each cars will use energy differently, so it does not affect to how the car performs. It is like an extra fuel tank, you could say. If that energy does run out while he is driving, he will be slapped with, I think, a drive-through penalty. But these drivers will have to pit in. Did that energy just jump to 22? I thought it was 2%. Or
it
maybe
definitely said 2% a second ago, so I'm not sure what just happened.
I thought it said 2%, but apparently it's 22%. But yeah, so energy is basically the buff of these cars. All these cars will be using energy differently. It is pretty much like an extra fuel tank, so you can save energy by, let's say, lift and coasting. So lift and coasting, it saves energy the same way as it saves fuel. So they have to keep an eye out on that. And if they do run out of energy, they will get slapped with a drive-through penalty. So that also makes strategy very interesting for LMU.
Lucas just kind of taking out the mirrors of Collins there as they head down to Ascari, but move's not quite on their very, very difficult place to get a move done here at Monza. But it looks like he's got a slightly better exit. He's just pulling alongside that bump. Those bumpers are probably aligned, but he has the inside, which is where you want to be for Parabolica, as they're door-to-door. And Collins having to take the long way around, and I think he's going to be the loser here as he wiggles his tail feathers, and Lucas Keys is the big dog in the doghouse tonight. Takes back P1, but there's a little bit of traffic ahead, and we'll see how that plays out coming into T1. Lucas Keys with a pretty healthy advantage over Collins here. They're having to take a bit of an awkward line. Lucas Keys moving back over to the racing line. Collins not afforded such a luxury. And we have the Isotta coming up behind them too. But Lucas Keys, you're back into your provisional P1 for the race. Well done, Lucas.
I think he really enjoyed that. And, it's good effort for Collins to manage that undercut, actually. Perhaps he did not refill as much energy as Lucas Keys. Perhaps he didn't put as much fuel back in, which gave him the undercut, but that was solid effort from Collins. Obviously, Lucas Keys now pushing really hard as he built that gap even more. He just wants to show who's boss in this GT3 field, as he has to let Mark Farland pass.
Very, very it's very, very nerve-wracking watching them let them pass through the more technical corners of this track. I'd hate for someone to come a cropper in this final act of this race.
Yeah, definitely agree. Obviously, letting a hypercar through a corner, especially a tight corner like that, will always be sketchy. It requires both drivers to trust each other.
I do think the rain has stopped. Murray Snow just pointing. Well, he's saying turn your wipers on. but I actually think the rain stopped for the moment, so it must just be spray. Unless we're having a bit of a visual glitch, I'm not sure if that's something in this game. Way too used to ACC, but the spray looks lesser to me.
I will confirm with you right now, and I do confirm the rain has stopped.
Yeah, there we go.
As I'm also on board with Lucas Keys.
Lucas Key's fanboy over here, God.
He's my coach and trainer.
No, it's actually like really useful having, like, I usually rely on people in chat, but having people in people's personal streams, because you can get stuff like that, and like if they've had an issue, they can sort of like inform you, which is really nice. But as it stands, Gibbons has reclaimed that lead in the hypercar class, and McFarlane in the ISOTA in P2, very nicely done, and Thistleweight back up to P3. That's okay. Actually, before the pit stop stuff,
Curry?
well, he pitted, but apparently he's pitted. A bunch of
Twice?
them have pitted twice though for some reason.
Curry has pitted twice. He was way ahead of. Well, he was in P2 before this, and now he's all the way down in P6.
He was way ahead of Bushel and Papayanu. So something's gone a little bit wrong there. Maybe just messed up the pit stop and had to do one more.
Talking about pit stop, if you look at the delta between Bushel and Thistleweight, I think Bushel is only 5 seconds behind Thistleweight, so it is still not the end for them. Although there is only 4 minutes left of this race, Bushel being 6 seconds behind Thistleweight, but Thistleweight it's not just going to be a drive in the park for him. He's going to have to keep his eye out for Bushel. If Bushel has pace, he might be able to do something here.
6 seconds in 4 minutes is a very big ask, but I don't know, Thistleweight, something does seem a little bit off there. He's not been able to catch the guys ahead of him whatsoever, which, I don't know, I mean, Thistleweight's very good. I would have expected it to close up a little bit, but maybe it's just not quite his night.
Yeah, perhaps he's struggling a bit in the wet conditions. On the other hand, Bushel, he got himself into a massive incident. He had to pit twice, and the fact that he's already managed to keep it, to bring the car within 6 seconds of a Cam is a very impressive feat in its own.
Yeah, for sure. I think after what's happened, Bushel, I would be proud of the effort. That's for sure. It's not the result you would have wanted, but that was a big coming together. And so to be back in the thick of potentially a podium position is it's no small feat.
Yep, definitely agree. Now, unsure, I think honestly, if he was to get that P3, Cam would have to make a massive mistake at this late stage of the race. But anything could still happen. They still have to drive another 3 minutes. Cam could make a mistake, or Bushel could make a mistake as well, as we're back onto the incident where Papayanu collected Bushel. As we see, Bushel did lock up as well and did slide. So after that, they really got put on the back foot. Bushel had to pit twice.
Yeah, that was it changed the face of the race, that one, for sure. But riding on board with Bushel, just seeing the way that he navigates through this circuit, as we said, not that many corners. You got to make them all count if you want to build all that speed through all of these long straights. Just looking off the back of, I think this is the car ahead of Bushel, which I don't even know. But Thistleweight in his mustard yellow Ferrari is bringing it across the line down the pit straight. He's got about 5 seconds to the car ahead and 5 seconds to the car behind, so he's in a relatively safe gap. Lucas Keys has put about 3.5 seconds onto Collins, so unless something serious happens, that's probably all she wrote, because that's been quite a bit since that overtake we saw earlier.
Yep, definitely agree, as we have 1 minute and 20 seconds left to go in this race. Now, unsure where Gibbons is currently, but I think, yep, there is going to be one more lap after this.
So good result for Gibbons. Touching wood here, everybody. I think he's been in the thick of it every single time, so it's nice for him to bring one home. Yeah, Marshy, I can't wait for Australian servers as well.
Yeah, once we get local servers, just going to make the racing a lot more interesting. Obviously, these guys having to be careful being too close to each other because the netcode at the moment, with the servers being in Europe and the ping being absolutely horrible, makes it really hard to race door to door, as the cars do tend to teleport left and right, up and down, forward and back. So just it does make racing a bit difficult in that aspect. But they will come eventually. It's been said that they're planning on bringing servers. Well, I think in America. Unsure about Australia and Southeast Asia. But even then, even a server on the west coast of America will make the ping much, much better for these drivers. It just make the racing much, much better as well.
Yeah, there's a very good product here. There's a very good base. And obviously, a couple of our guys are a little bit tired of ACC, just having a bit of a ball here. So it's good for them, and it's good to watch. So hopefully we get that pretty soon. As the clock has hit 0, Callum Gibbons is just going to try and bring this one home. Don't do anything too silly. I believe he had a pretty healthy gap. Why does it look like there's a wet line rather than a dry line on this circuit?
It does look like there's a bit of a dry line when those cars are driving, so that's...
I think it's just like a bit of a reflections thing. Like it looks mildly inverted when you're looking overhead. Because like from here, that looks more like a dry line to me. But Callum Gibbons, take a bow, sir, as he's flashing those lights left and right. Well done, mate. That's a great result. As we're going to have McFarlane, is that back for position, these two around Parabolica? I'm not entirely sure. McFarlane, I'm going to talk like it is, because Corey is pulling up alongside. It's not going to be quite enough, as someone's getting a meatball flag as well right at the end there. I don't know if that was for position, because we're on board with Cam Thistlethwaite. Thistlethwaite was in third, so I believe this is going to be routing out our podium. Coming around Parabolica, wave to the pit crew, mate. Job well done. Now, Lucas Keys coming down the back straight, I believe this is. He's going to have one more go around Parabolica. Collins not anywhere quite in sight. Really, really good effort from Lucas Keys. Pretty in command for most of the race. Something going on with those pit stops, but is able to retain or regain command of the race and never look back. So P1 for Lucas Keys. We're going to have Bailey Collins P2. Well done, mate. A really, really good fight against the man, the myth, the legend, Lucas Keys. And I think that's Johnston in the 777 Aston Martin to round out your podium for GT3. Well done, Johnston. A very relatively quiet race. He had a bit of a spin. Also, they had a bit of a spin. But apart from that, nothing too much to write home about, so probably pretty happy with the result. But yeah, I think Tim may have just had to step out for a moment, but thank you very much, everyone, for watching round 3 of our LMU series. Tune in next week. I think we're going to have potentially Marshy and Nick Brown on the mic. We will be confirmed later. But we are going to hand over to Lexi Bone and Damiano Thurcolini actually getting back on the mic after a little while for Split Red. Tim and I will be racing as well, so watch out for us because we're going to be menaces. But just to round off all our results, so Callum Gibbons taking out P1, McFarlane P2, Thistlethwaite P3, Bushell 4th, and Papayanu 5th. And for our GT3 cars, we have Lucas Keys, Bailey Collins, Ash Johnston, Lewis Cugley, and Austin McNeil rounding out your top 5. All right. Stick around, everyone. There'll be probably like a 10-minute break, I'd say, between these. And yeah, thank you again.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to your Thursday night action here at Octane Online Racing. We've now got the Octane Online Racing Simrigs Sprint Series. Splits red, the third and final split of the round 3 here at Snetterton and Silverstone. We've got two races at two different tracks, which will really test the drivers out tonight. My name is Lexi Bold, and joining me in the commentary booth, you know him very well, and unfortunately, he did not get very far in the previous LMU race. It is Damiano Turcolini. How are you, Damiano?
Hi guys, Damiano here. Yeah, thanks for the warm intro there, Lexi. Yeah, rub it in. Yeah, rough turn 1 for me, for sure. Hopefully the drivers heading out and qualifying now will have a much better time than what I did.
Yes, well, turn 1 around Snetterton can be quite treacherous, but the good news for these drivers is that if they don't manage to get through turn 1 here, they have another chance to get through turn 1, only this time at Silverstone, which is probably just as treacherous. So good luck to everyone out there tonight.
Yeah, both those corners are pretty fast entries and a little tricky on the exit. As we're watching the cars trundle around on their outlaps, as we can see with the red timer there, it's still heading around.
Yeah, so we've just started our qualifying session here. It's a 12-minute session heading into a 25-minute race for both of our races tonight. We've got 28 drivers in the lobby at the moment, which is very good to see from Sweet Red, currently on board with one of the commentators from the Le Mans Ultimate race that we just had previously. It's Gobby here in the 72 Porsche.
Yeah, Porsche tricky car to handle, I felt, when I had my round here on, what was that, yesterday? Too soon.
Yes.
Yeah, the curve's really choppy. Keep an eye out for the McLarens. They were pretty hot, and I think the BMWs will have a good go as well.
Yeah, this track does seem like one that would suit the McLarens reasonably well. It has been a while since I've gone around here as we watch a McLaren absolutely ruin the lap at the exit of turn 1, just carrying a bit too much speed through Riches and out the other side. Too much grass, turned into a lawnmower, which, to be fair, pretty apt for a McLaren at the moment.
That corner really hard to keep the pace in, and I also found about the 4th lap was my best lap I could will pull out. So plenty of time left. Get some new tyres and get going again.
Yeah, definitely. The tyres will slowly get the way into things. Gobby handled it pretty well. A little bit of dust on the outside, but you would expect that. And these drivers will really just be looking to set some form of competitive lap on the first run around that they have at speed. Going through now into Agostini, I believe. No, is it? I don't know, it's Palmer.
Yes, yep, you're right.
No, okay. No, now we're going to Agostini here. That was Palmer before. There's too many. I'm not familiar with this track, but
All right, I have turn 4 is Agostini, turn 5 is Hamilton, which is the one with the tyres just there.
yep. So yeah, so just as we have a nice
Temporary red flag.
Yeah, red flag. Too much sunlight, I suppose you could say, if the FIA was governing this race.
I think they're complaining about being in England and no rain. Yeah. And a hot-looking Squires car there, the 96 Mustang with the Red Bull livery.
Yeah, that won't be too alien for too much longer, as Squires goes to the top so far, 46.3, of course. First driver to set a lap time, and immediately eclipsed by Shady Samuel with a 45.732.
Yeah, it's Shady looking pretty hot. Leading the championship, that driver is.
Yeah, Shady has been pretty well unmatched so far this season. Hasn't been put under a huge amount of pressure, especially at our last round, apart from, well, accidentally turning the car off when coming out of the pit lane, but still won by a significant margin over the rest of the field. Here we have Johnson currently on a lap in the Bentley. Will be one of the last of the drivers to set their initial lap time, and looks pretty clean through Brundle and Nelson. Seems like a very tricky corner complex to get right with the braking you have to do entering Nelson. Now through the bomb hole and around to Karam.
and heading into Murray's, which I find an extremely difficult circuit. Corner, coming through to the line for the time, and we're going to get a little bit more time. Drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. 1 second, and 1 second off the lead. Quality pole.
Yes.
Sorry, guys. As you can tell, a little bit out of touch still.
I mean, it is a second off of the lead in this session still, after all. But Squires is really going at it as he comes through now. Murray's and coming up to the line. You can see how difficult Murray's can be since it's essentially a 90-degree corner, but you're turning for a long while through Coram with the radius there as he goes up into second, just behind Shady Samuel's best time there of a 45.732. Maddox goes up to third with a 46 flat. Currently the lead, McLaren. We'll see what the other drivers can do around him. We've still got Salvaggio, I believe, on a lap somewhere around the track.
Got a couple of yellow flags between Bombhole and Coram just now. Hopefully it doesn't upset some of the drivers.
On this lap, Shady Samuel is really gunning for it. He's about 3/10 up at the moment. As he comes through now into Agostini, but he does have a McLaren right in front of him, so wouldn't hope that impacts him too much, but both drivers are on valid hot laps, so he's got to deal with that however he can.
One of the rules that we have here as well is you cannot overtake someone who's on a valid lap, so Shady will have to mark the time.
I mean, so far he's still finding a good amount of time behind this McLaren, but he's going to get a lot of straight line speed, although it's now jumping out of the way. So it's kind from the McLaren there, realizing they're not really... in fact, that's actually Salvaggio there. So Salvaggio feeling he doesn't quite have the time to improve on this lap and doesn't want to impede on what Shady Samuel is doing. So fair enough.
Yeah, some good respectful driving there. Shady takes a very wide line there.
Seemed to work for him. He's gained a little bit of time now. Tricky through Coram, and you'd expect the Mustang to be quite tricky to handle through there. Now into Murray's, how wise he go? Reasonably, he's about 4/10 up, so this would be a good improvement from him. Aiden Squires comes up to the line, does not improve, but Shady Samuel with a 45.3, he's going to pull it up, and he'd be pretty confident of that. But Rashuti now moves up in the third, Maddox up in the second, now 3.5 tenths away from what Shady Samuel has set. And here comes Johnston. Now he's early in the lap, so only a sector and a half completed for Johnston so far.
Yep. 4 minutes to go. It's still enough time for drivers to swap their tyres and have another go and get that last lap in as the clock ticks over. As we're watching Johnson going down the long straight of Bentley Straight in a Bentley. How timely.
Yeah, very, very timely indeed. Yes, of course, Bentley, very close to a British racing heritage.
Or just... that very well on the entry, for sure.
Yes, ooh, yeah, they're getting very, very wide, using all the track they possibly can. Curious whether this will improve the position for Johnston, but at the very least, it'll get him further ahead of Long Lee. That looked really nice through Murray's. That was very well hooked up. A little bit of loss on the exit, but he's found an overall gain. It won't be any improvement on his position, but it puts him within a 10th of Squires and Rashuti.
What a respectable time that. I think Pete Johnson would be a good one to watch during the race, heading down to the braking zone there. Good one to watch for.
Here is Maddox, who is getting towards the end of his current lap, coming through Coram now. He's not really finding a lot of time, so he'll have enough time to do 2 more laps, provided he doesn't peel into the pits now and changes those tyres. But he's still in a very, very good position, leading the Silver Class in this session and sitting second overall in this session.
And here we have Warren in the Porsche, 0.4 up. Going to be challenging for a top 5 time with a lap completion coming up. Heading down the Bentley Straight and then into Brundle then Nelson, left-right.
He seems to be getting a good handle of the Porsche around here. As we mentioned, it was it can be a little bit squirrely, a little bit unsettled at times, but so far Warren seems to be handling it nicely and is getting the overall lap time out of him. And sometimes it's the looser cars, the that can produce the ultimate lap time if you know how to handle the beast. Into Murray's, that looked a bit deep, and he's lost a lot of time there, so it's not going to be as good as what we expected, but he still will find himself ahead of Chalmers and potentially up towards Salvaggio. Very close to Salvaggio, but yeah, back up to P9 ahead of Chalmers.
Well, and only 200ths of a second in that. So Pete Johnson coming out to finish the lap, is not able to improve the time. Last chance of roll the dice. Currently in P5 and half a second off the pole sitter.
As here is Blake Griffiths, one of the other commentators that we had in Le Mans Ultimate, and the one who has been organising all of the commentators for the sprints and has been doing a fantastic job in her new role. And so far she's finding a good amount of time around here. 5-6 tenths up on her previous best, and she's still very early in the lap, so this is looking good, although she's quite wide. They're quite deep into Agostini, but overall it hasn't hurt her overall lap time.
Well, it's a very strong time, 6 tenths up, more to come. Looking at potentially a P15. Oh, no.
Never mind. Congratulations, you haven't been in the comms box for 2 years, but you still got that commentator's touch.
It never leaves. It just grows larger, doesn't it?
That's it. It always hangs around, no matter whether you're in the comms booth or just doing things in real life. I'm noticing that there's a few cars just blinking around a little bit, so a few drivers don't quite have a strong connection to these servers at the moment, but Johnston is not one of those. He's looking very solid right now and is finding a good amount of time. This will be his last lap out here, and he's got about 3 tenths up. Let's see what he can do as he comes through Murray's. He did have a great run through Murray's on his best lap time, so it's going to be tough to find any improvement here. And yeah, he loses it on exit, so it's still going to be about 2 tenths up, and that will put him up into about P2, where Maddox is now. There you go. Provisional P2 for Johnston. Let's see what the other drivers can do to try and match that.
That's very close in that zone at P2 to P5.
Here is Squires now. He's looking reasonable. He's about a 10th up as he comes now through toward Coram. He's just gone through a bomb hole reasonably safely. Can he find enough time to get ahead of Rashuti? He needs a good run through Murray's. And does he get it? Not too bad. I don't think it's going to be good enough for him. So it's going to be P5 at best for N Squires and P2 at best in class for the 96 Mustang as well.
And we're looking at 1/10 of a second between P2 and P5 there. So any time gained is time earned for sure. As we have Hislop coming around, half a second up. P11 at the moment, looking to stretch forward. And Ricciuti finishing the lap, tiny bit of time there, and improves.
Not enough.
Not enough.
But here is Hislop, still 4.5 tenths up. This will be a good improvement in position, and it's up to P7. Brilliant stuff from Hislop, and that is going to be P3 in class in this qualifying session. So excellent stuff as Viney comes across the line in P19, 2 seconds off the pace. But is once again Shady Samuel on top.
Yeah, that's a hot lap. Got a bit of a gap there. Back to P2. And the rest of the guys, it's going to be a very tight race at the front.
Most definitely. So we've got what looks to be 29 out there tonight. So additional drivers joined in qualifying, but here it is. So we got Shady Samuel on the left, and we had Johnston on the right. That is your front row here. Then we have Maddox and Rashuti starting P3 and P4. Good effort from Maddox. The McLaren, as we said, strong around here, so he could definitely do something about that. Then we had Squires and Longley P5 and P6. Good efforts from them as well. We've got a nice distribution between the pros and the silvers at the moment. It's all nicely worked out between the classes. Hislop, excellent effort in the Nissan for P7. Then we have the other Samuel in P8 in the 223 Mercedes. Don't think they're Shady or Ramez is related. Salvaggio P9 and Warren in P10. That is your top 10 there before we move down to the lead Pro-Am driver in Chalmers, then Curtis in P12. So Pro-Am lockout of the 6th row. Charitos leading the AM charge, as we've come to expect this season. He's done very well in the BMW. Rochford in P14, the 332 Porsche. Beautiful Kovacs livery there. Cricky having a solid qualifying session in Nissan in the 87 there, with Patterson in P16. Then we have Zavaka. Nissans have a decent showing in Split Red, so he starts out of 17th with Gosling in 18th before we move down to Viney and Miller, the two Porsches there, 19th and 20th. Then further down, we've got Gobby, who is kindly in the commentary booth before, alongside Blakers, who was also in the comms box before. So a nice commentators lockout there for P21 and 22. Then we had Jensen in P23, further down P24. Also an Audi there. I'm pretty sure that is Gormley in the Audi there, 666, yep. On the left-hand side there, we've got Porsche and a Ferrari. I just have to double check the 98s. That is Anderson. The 30 Ferrari is Nin Chang. Then we have the what looks to be the 293. That is Asplin. 26 of Braid. And then right at the back of the grid, we have the 101 of Murphy, I'm pretty sure.
That was very impressive. Well done, Lexi. That's an excellent memory there.
It wasn't really memory, just more seeing where the numbers were and associating it with the little attendance sheet I've got right beside me.
Oh, you are fully prepared.
Well, thank you, but yeah.
So in my preparation, I've looked at some of the general facts of Snetterton circuit. Not a lot. Location, Norfolk in England. It opened in 1953, and as most people are probably aware of, it was built on a RAF airfield. That's why it's so very, very flat. I had a look for some interesting facts, and the only one that was only worth a mention was it's owned by Formula One driver Jonathan Palmer.
It's owned by Jonathan Palmer.
Yep, so it says.
Well, I'll be damned. Okay, there you go. And we've got the infamous tree there in the background that looks just like a celebrating fan.
Oh, I always thought it was a scarecrow. It always scares me going to that corner.
Oh, I mean, that depends on your interpretation of it, I suppose, whether you look at it as something to fear or something to cheer.
Very much so. I think the first race here was an afternoon race. So yeah, so it just said the dark shadow of the tree is like, ooh, drive carefully, don't crash.
Yes, as we see the wonderful PNGs of all the magnificent fans who don't care about the cars at all and simply just want to be on camera.
That's the big selfie picture right there.
Yes. But yeah, we've got a 25-minute race here at Snetterton. It is not raining. Very disappointing to see, but won't be too far away from start. We've got the 332 that's in the pits there. That is Rochford.
Oh, that's a shame. Where did he qualify? Had a quick snap at that. He was outside the top 20. No, there he is. P14 is where he qualified.
Oof. So yeah, that can hurt. But we'll be getting underway very, very shortly. Any quick predictions for this one, Damiano?
I've got my money on Slavaggio. I think he could have a good race.
Yeah, fair enough. I've got my money on Maddox, a silver class win. Hashtag Maddox to Pro, as Ferox has mentioned in chat there. But yes, we will have 25 minutes coming your way here at Snetterton for Split Red with Samuel, Johnston, Maddox, Rashuti, Squires, Longley, Hislop, Samuel, Savaggio, and Warren. Your top 10 seems all the netcode issues have sorted themselves out. We'll be getting on the way very, very shortly with 5 red lights, and we are... Wait for it. It's gonna... There we are. We are green. There looks like there was nearly a bit of contact into the wall for one of the McLarens on the right-hand side. Decent start for Samuel, but Johnson around the outside. It's going to be hard asked to get around there. But everyone seems to have gotten through relatively cleanly. Now, this is going to be the pinch point into Montreal. We've got Maddox up the inside of Johnson, and it's going to be tight as they come out of there. But so far, looks nice and clean from Split Red, and it looks like Johnson was able to come back at Maddox and hold on to that second position. But what that has done is that has allowed Samuel to break clear a little bit. Rashudi's now putting a bit of pressure onto Maddox as Long Lee's putting pressure on Squires there for P5. So definitely a bit of action going on. There was one yellow flag further back with the 95 and most likely the 62. But beyond that, it's been a very, very clean, solid start from Split Red, and so far most drivers have been able to hold position.
Yeah, I noticed car 95 had a bit of a yellow moment. That's Zach Jensen in the silver Audi. Hopefully he can make up some pace there and catch back up to the group. And also car 232, that's Rochford coming through, so he's already got a spot up.
Yes, yeah, he would have gotten that spot up with the yellow moment that we saw from Jensen, as the bollard is already gone, as that looks very wide there from Samuel and the Mercedes. Looks like they're managing to negotiate Brundle and Nelson on the first lap relatively okay. So we'll carry on fourth and into Murray's, and we'll round out that first lap. And so far, Shady Samuel has about an 8/10 gap back to Johnston, and Johnston still under a little bit of pressure from Maddox, but has a good half-second buffer over the McLaren so far.
Yeah, it looked like I thought I saw Johnson get really up close on the back of Shady Samuel on the last turn there. Could have just been the optics, but looked very close. May have backed out of a move.
Yeah, I think it was just perhaps the a little bit of the optics that are playing up there, but yeah, it's, looks like Shady has a good advantage at the moment over the rest of the field, as we've seen so far throughout the season. But further down, it looks like Salvaggio has been able to get a move done on the other Samuel of Ramiz. So nicely done that from the number 11 McLaren. Your prediction already looking relatively solid.
Yeah, it's a good car here. We'll see how it goes. Just first lap in, tyres still getting up to temperature. Drivers getting the eye in, driving close to traffic.
Oh, it's just a very wide, loose there from Squires as he got onto the grass a little bit. Sorry to kind of, as we take a look at a replay at the start, that looks like it could have been a little bit of a jump there from the Porsche, the purple Porsche. Oh dear, just some pinball, and yeah, that is.
Well, that's gonna hurt.
That is, I mean, it's a bit more than 12 meters, but it's not far away from 12 meters.
Make the first corner? Barely. That's just that. Keep driving. You got race 2 coming up, so keep going, guys.
Yeah, that's it. There's still plenty of racing to go, and it seems like they're all managing to get through it okay at the minute. Shady Samuel sets the fastest lap with 46.4. Immediately surpassed by multiple drivers, with Rashudi setting a 46.2 and looking very racy behind Maddox there, only 2/10 behind. So could be shaping up a move as we run into Montreal. It'll probably be one of the key spots to try and force a move, but if you can't get it done in Montreal, you then have the outside going through Palmer. Here we have a look at the race start. So it's just going to be a little bit of a Constantino. Oh yeah, just some of the breaking into one and not being able to react to it was the Audi there of Gormley.
It's a big shame. Yeah. One thing I have noticed, no one's really stretched out a major gap. Was it 1.3 seconds in the mid-pack was the largest gap at P13?
Yes, Curtis ahead of... I don't know, Claritos ahead of Curtis. Sorry. So, yeah, it's pretty reasonable. I mean, I think further down the field, there's a bit of a gap between the number 30 car and then 332. There's a little bit of a coming together. The 666 has gone around. That is Gormley. He has had a moment.
What's happened here? Oh, bumpy bumps. Yep. No,
yeah,
no.
Look, that is not ideal. Oh, please. Okay, good.
It looked like he pulled out of that.
Yeah. which was good to see. But yeah, unfortunate for Gormley, just sort of lazily falling wide, and yeah, onto the grass. The Audi's not really gonna handle the lawn mowing too well. It's Patrick Johnston sets a fast lap now into the 45, so 45.990. So, as Maddox goes very, very wide, it's going to open the door for Rashuti if he can get the exit, but he can't. He runs wide onto the grass himself, trying to get that overspeed, but Maddox has to defend the inside, and that could give Rashuti the advantage. But going through Palmer, you would be it would be unwise to make moves through Palmer, I would say.
A challenging corner for sure. As we see Shady Samuel starting to stretch some legs out over Pete Johnson, even though Pete Johnson's got the purple lap, who took it away from Ricciuti. Ricciuti's looking very racy again on Maddox here, staying very close in the Ferrari, which I understand is a bit iffy on the bumps sometimes.
Yeah, it can be. The handle in the Ferrari is an interesting one. It's definitely not the most stable car in the world, and yeah, over the bumps it can really struggle. But it seems like, Rashudi's been driving the Ferrari for a while now, I believe, so he's definitely got a handle of it and understands how it works. He's reaping some of the benefits of that experience now too, as he homes in on the McLaren there of Max. Shows the nose a little bit, just trying to force a mistake into Brundle and then Nelson, but can't do anything about it. Maddox is a wily old fox. He's not going to be phased by that at all.
Showing a lot of confidence going into that braking zone with the changes of direction there. Ricciuti looking very good under brakes.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, seems to understand the braking areas very, very well, and the limits of what he can push. But so far, it's looking good. It's just whether he can actually force a move. It's very difficult to find overtaking opportunities around here without forcing another driver into a mistake, and in the dirty air you can see how much he struggles through turn 1 at Riches.
Yeah, that would probably be some of the air wash. Oh, nice and close. Oh, a little slide going out, and it doesn't give a room for Squires to catch up, just a little tiny bit, but not enough. We'll see the pace of Ricciuti coming through now as we go through turn 3, coming up to turn 4, which is Agostini?
Agostini, yes.
Agostini. And after the next 2 corners, we'll see how strong Ricciuti is on the brakes here, see if my observations are correct or not.
Yes, well, the benefit of being the preceding car is that you can see when the driver in front brakes, and you can just brake that little bit later. You just got to hope that you don't brake that little bit too late and run into the back of the driver head, as we watch Zach Warren now flying out with Ramez Samuel in the 223 Mercedes. Well, we've got 222 Porsche and 223 Mercedes. Well, there you go. That works pretty well.
That's not going to be confusing at all, is it? So the 223 and the 222 are racing very closely together with a gap of only 0.249.
That's sounding like Richie Benner there.
Oh, excellent drive out of the corner by Warren. This will be interesting going through this long right corner. Just like you accelerate, you got to coast, and you accelerate again, and then a change of direction, the braking zone, and not too fast. It's so easy to overcook this corner.
Yeah, as there we go. Yeah, Gormley does pick up a penalty, what looks to be a 15-second penalty for contact on lap 1. So has been deemed at fault for the incident we saw in the braking zone of turn 1. As we see Johnston set another fastest lap, and he's going to put Samuel under a bit of pressure in this race. But yeah, still 15 minutes to go. Still plenty of time, but again, very tricky to make moves, especially with how wide both of these cars are between the Mustang and the Bentley.
I know it's an easy early call for only on lap 5, but I can't really see any battle grips forming. The field spread's not too big and quite spaced out and stretches out a little bit after the main pack.
Yeah, it's just so difficult to actually force any kind of battle pack to really turn into an overtaking opportunity, because as we saw with Rashuti just earlier, he gets very close, but can't really capitalize on that speed advantage he has over Maddox at the moment. As Cricky goes a little bit wide, he manages to save it, but now we've got up the inside. That's the Ferrari that goes very deep, and Cricky's going to get the over and under and hold on to P15 ahead of Patterson. And now Patterson's under pressure. And there we go. That is exactly how you can find moves around here. And Murphy now is going to try and go side by side with Patterson as we watch the save from the GTR. It was a really solid one indeed. In the bottom left, you can see just in the background, it looks like Murphy did manage to get through on Patterson. Yes, he has, but he spins.
Oh, no!
There has been contact, and yeah, so that can happen when you just stick a nose in the wrong spot. As now Rashuti is going to try and go around the outside. You're brave to do it around the outside into turn 1 around here. You're just going to get run out very wide, but he's going to try the over and under. Can he get the overspeed on the exit and dive it to the inside at Montreal? He's going to try and go for it. Maddox defends the inside very nicely, but that could compromise him on the exit, but he manages to arrest the speed nicely, so well defended by Maddox.
Oh, excellent driving and good awareness by Cricky before, and also Maddox with the challenge from Ricciuti, who runs a tiny bit wide there. It's still kept it on circuit. We have the replay here of the indicating Porsche.
Let's see. Oh, no, you can't stick a nose up the inside there, Patterson.
Yeah. Look like the
day late, dollar short, over-eager move.
Yep.
That's going to be a slap on the wrist.
Yep. It's only half a line through there. Not even room for one car, I reckon.
Yep, I 100% agree. So, yeah, Murphy will not be a happy chappy.
As Ricciuti piling on the pressure on Maddox. Maddox putting a wheel on the grass as we're coming down Bentley Straight to Rundle and Nelson. This is where Ricciuti was looking very strong under brakes. So let's have a look at this.
It's going to be tight. There's a little bit of side-by-side contact between them. Are they going to... No, that was smart from Ricciuti to back out of it and stick to the single file line. Otherwise, that was going to be almost an equivalent incident to what we just saw in the replay. What that has done is it's brought Ain Squires into it now. Ricciuti's having to try and get things back in order. Look at the margin when they came across the sector split line. Nothing separating them.
I think it's a dead heat.
It would have to go down to the next decimal place.
Oh, very close indeed. And it was actually Ricciuti. Was Ricciuti in front on that time, Delta?
Yes, he was. So he would have been ahead by, some 10,000th of a second.
Just a lick of paint and or a bug on the front. Oh, very close on the braking there into Montreal. As we see the two leaders starting to pull out a bit of a gap there with the battling between Ricciuti and Maddox. And as you're saying, Squires is now caught right back up, half a second in, which is also bringing in long lead. Yeah, the number 17 Mercedes.
Indeed, and Squires getting closer to the battle between Maddox and Ricciuti is quite important because Maddox is in the silver class and will be fighting Squires for that silver class championship come the end of the season. So this could be quite critical here. Even if it is only round 3, we've still got plenty of rounds to go, but all points matter, and that is a little bit wide for Ricciuti, but he almost looks like it was kind of desired from him, but I don't know, it looks like he got a little bit of the grasp, but still he got some form of an apex there.
Yep, he's looking for extra bits of the track to increase the radii of the circuit and get more speed in. Oh, as Maddox clips the curb, has a bit of a challenge on the exit. Ricciuti having a look on the inside, cannot do it. And as they go through bomb hole and leading to Coram, it's going to be very interesting. As Maddox goes wide again, he must be getting a lot of pressure loss now. And the challenging part of Murray's, how close are these guys two going to get here?
Yeah, it looks like Ricciuti is very, very good on the brakes and manages to get a bit more speed into corners than Maddox, but Maddox gets a superior acceleration out of the corner, so it's a bit of a give and take in terms of the time gained and time lost.
And Squires has just dropped a tiny bit of time as well, as Long Lee in the Mercedes had to have a bit of a move. Squires had a slide through turn 1 there at Riches.
Yes, the Mustang is not a very stable car through these corners, so not a big surprise that it's struggling with the stability, but Squires is still doing reasonably well to keep it in P5, but Shady Samuel out front is doing an even better job and is breaking even further clear of Johnston, 1.5 seconds clear to be exact.
That's, yeah, that's only a stretch of a gap of what, it's 0.2 per lap, so it's really tight margins.
Indeed it is. As it looks like Maddox is slowly starting to get himself back into a rhythm, back into a groove. But he's still got Rashidi all over his rear end, and he's trying to hold on for what would be a podium finish in the first of 2 races tonight. Of course, we've got Silverstone coming up after this.
Yep. And speaking of podiums, in P12 we have Charitos, sorry, couldn't read that properly. Car number 9, AM class, leading the way.
Yes, started from pole in the AM class and has stayed there and has been doing very, very well. Has fallen off the back of Chalmers and has been put under a little bit of pressure from Viney, but is still holding on to that position nicely and is well clear of Gosling, who is P2 in the AM class. The Pro AM class, the aforementioned Chalmers, is leading the way there in P11 with Viney and Curtis there, second and third. Cricky not too far behind, so doing well is Cricky. Then, of course, with the silver class, which, as we mentioned, is Maddox and Squires at the moment, but Hislop, who had a great qualifying session there, the number 18, is still third in the silver class in this race.
SVF was, I don't believe that was, Ward Patterson, car number 20, 15-second penalty for a collision lap 6.
That would have been the contact we saw with Murphy earlier, the really
Yes.
over-eager move, and I think that is right, as Zenon Chang also picks up a 15-second penalty for causing a collision on lap 6. So a few drivers getting the naughty stick, but hopefully at Silverstone, where it's a little bit wider, a little bit more room to try and make overtakes, there's less these little incidents occurring.
Yeah, it's very easy to have a bit of a train of cars happening and get a little bit over-enthusiastic because it's so hard to pass, as you're saying there, Lexi.
Just frustration, really. Like when you're stuck behind another car and you feel like you're faster, or when you get overtaken, you know that once they get clear, you know you're not going to get them back. You have that desperation that just picks up within you. As there you go, Ward Patterson picks up another 10-second penalty for being out of position on that one. He might have been the Porsche I saw that was out of position on lap 1, so that is not too surprising. But you can see how much time Rashidi gains through Brundle and Nelson. That Ferrari is really well hooked up, as you have mentioned, through those corners, but just can't make any inroads anywhere else.
No, it's I race against Maddox in the over 50 series. He's a very good racer, very hard to put pressure on and get past him. He's used to and can soak up a lot of pressure.
Yes, much like a sponge. I mean, the car sort of looks a little bit like a sponge, but I would say the Waffle House livery is very pretty indeed. Like beautiful livery on that one, as are most of the liveries, including this Sofa King Slow livery on the Ferrari.
Oh, both drivers are wide there.
Yeah, it's just going a little bit too wide there.
That was well controlled by both drivers. Sorry to cut you off there, Lexi, but they are seeing cars just get a little bit wide, one tyre on the grass, and gone, as we saw in the qualifying. Both of these front-running Pro and Silver drivers have excellent car control.
Very much so, and that's what you'd expect when you get closer to the front of the field. They can manage the car's handling very, very well, even when they're half on tarmac, half on grass. I mean, I'm surprised there's still grass on the outside of turn 1 there, with how many drivers have gone over it so far.
Yes, should be a mud patch. And looking down the grid, we have Rochford climbing his way back into P22. He's just made overtake on Patterson and is very close to Anderson in front of him, equally in the Porsche.
Yes, he's doing nicely to be making moves throughout the field, and he's looking racy. Unfortunately, forgot to hit drive and had to start from pit lane, but has made his way back up to P22, and he'll be aiming for a top 20 finish if he can get there. Right now, he's very close to Anderson, and he'll be shaping up a move very, very soon. You expect Anderson does defend the inside. It's going to compromise his line a little bit on the exit, but through here you can sort of afford to, as there's another corner coming up. Can Rochford get the driver he needs? It looks like he will, but is he brave and bold enough to try it into Brundle? He's going to try to the inside. It's going to be tight through here. This could end very poorly. They're very they try and run very safe through there. They do go side by side, but both drivers very respectful of each other and the space that they need, and Rochford does eventually get through. Yes, he does. Good save. Very good save.
Oh, that was very sideways there. Excellent car control. On the save, that is.
Yeah, it's superb car control from Rochford. Now Patterson's all over the back of Anderson.
Yeah, one thing I noticed with Rochford, he had very good drive of the car coming out the corner, so we'll see if he can stretch some legs over Anderson.
Yeah, I think Anderson's just, at the moment, a little bit too hot into some of these corners. Like, he's getting good speed entering the course, but can't really find it on the exits as a result. Now, Patterson's going to send it to the inside, backs out of it wisely. He's got that 25-second penalty looming over his head. He doesn't want to get any more penalties to the end of this race.
No, and you wouldn't want to let a car through with a penalty when you're that close to another competitor in front. If there's a bit more of a gap in front, as Rich Udy gets still very close to Maddox.
Oh, Maddox has gone very deep there, and he's going to have to defend the inside as they run into the bomb hole, but looks like Rashidi couldn't get close enough to get alongside Maddox enough to force the move.
All right, with just under 4 minutes to go, I'm guessing we've got about 2 or 3 laps left. Cars running very wide there. I think still within limits. We have car 29 have a bit of a yellow out between turn 1 and turn 2. Rich Udy still piling the pressure on Maddox. Can he keep it up?
Well, he can certainly keep it up. It's just whether he can turn that pressure into some form of an overtake as Gormley picks up another penalty, 10-second penalty for dangerous driving on lap 10. So not a good race from Gormley yet again, but Rashidi looks really racy now. He knows he doesn't have much time left and he wants to get this overtake done.
So very hard wide through there. Heading down to turn 4.
You can see what he's doing. He's just showing Maddox the car in his mirrors, but Maddox is not flinching. He knows what he's doing in these moments. As we watch a replay, this would be the 20. Oh dear, that is, yep. We've seen that a few times in qualifying in the practice sessions, haven't we?
Yes, not too much damage. All on the side should be fine for the Porsche there, as both drivers are pushing hard, going down the Bentley straight.
Indeed, Rashidi looks a little bit closer on this occasion, and on the last lap, Maddox did make that mistake. So if he makes the mistake again, then Rashidi is right there to capitalize. But I think on this occasion, Maddox was a little bit safer on the brakes, but now blue flags might play their part, as looks like we'll have about 2 laps to go after this one, with Shady Samuel coming up to Murray's now.
That's a damaged Porsche has left the field.
Yeah, or more so entered the field.
Very true. All right, the trick here for Rich Udy, he needs to get an excellent drive through turn 1. If he can do that, I reckon there'll be an outbraking maneuver possibility. So let's see if we can do it. Needs to stay really close, not too much error wash, and Maddox gone deep.
Maddox did go deep, but he still gets a decent run. Can Rashidi try and send it to the inside? He's going to look to the outside now. Maddox has to defend that inside line. Can Rashidi now get a little bit of overdrive on the exit? No, he can't. So Maddox still doing all that he needs to hold on to P3, and Rashidi will be frustrated with this.
Well, absolutely. The amount of effort, there's jinking, the jibing, there's the lefting, the riding, having a good little look, getting well defended by Maddox. And up front, Shady Samuel only maintaining the lead of 1.5 seconds over Pete Johnson. Hasn't stretched the gap or managing the gap.
Yeah, it's remained 1.5 seconds throughout most of this race. So Shady Samuel has this one pretty well under control. But so far, he's not going to be able to get a clean sweep of the week, of the week's race so far, because Johnston does have that fastest lap under his belt. Once again, down the Bentley straight. Looks like Maddox has a little bit more of an advantage this time, but Rashidi's going to remain close and just try and force something. He's gained a lot of time in the slipstream, and now what's Maddox going to do through here? Well, he's very close on this occasion, but just can't get the drive out of the corners. That McLaren seems to be a little bit better on acceleration than the Ferrari is at the moment.
Yeah, Maddox has been hitting that curb on the inside there. So on the last lap, which is leaders getting very close to crossing the line, so we'll be getting an extra lap for sure. I think if Maddox can maintain it and not hit that curb, I think he should be fine. Oh, unfortunately, Tim go with that little penalty there. And Maddox will be hard fought to maintain the the drive through there. And going through to turn 1 has excellent drive, and I don't think Ricciuti's going to get a look here.
No, he's Maddox did very well through turn 1. Managed to buckle down on the mistake that he made last lap and resolve it on this lap. But Ricciuti, it wouldn't surprise me if he goes for a desperate lunge on this lap, given it is now the last lap of this race here at Snetterton.
Absolutely, got the hairpin here, slightly wide entry. Maddox goes a little bit deep, but cuts back in, makes a bit of a V out of it. And as we come into the Hamilton curve and leading down to the next hairpin, this is where Maddox has to defend well, and Ricciuti be really close to get a run on the Bentley straight.
Indeed.
That's all been set up.
Oh, that's a bit of a slide.
Lots of momentum, but have they both going through this corner? This is such a tough corner. It's a slow entry and a slower exit.
I think Maddox might have this under control.
I think so too. A bit of a gap, but it comes back to the curve. He's been hitting it a few times, so if you can maintain a smooth drive through here, I think he's got it.
And he does manage it. He's a little bit slow on the exit, but Ricciuti maybe just overcompensating, trying to get that move done into bomb hole, and that will pretty much do it. So Maddox does manage to hold on, but out front, Shady Samuel, untouchable once again, and he is going to take victory here. Shady Samuel wins the first race for Split Red tonight here at Snetterton. Johnston taking home P2, a great race from him with the fastest lap. And Maddox holds on for P3 and the silver class winner. Ricciuti 4th, Squires 5th, Longley 6th. Then Hislop, very nicely done in the Nissan in P7. Salvaggio, your prediction for a good race. Having a good race there, P4 in class and P8 overall, with Warren and Samuel rounding out the top 10.
And in P11 we have Chalmers coming across the line, just finishing now. Then Chariotis leading AM. Viney, Curtis and Crick finishing. Good to see Crick have a good race and get to the end. I saw the unfortunateness at Spa. As we have Murphy, Savanka, Gove, MP18 coming through.
And there'll be a bit of a gap back to the Gobby there, and then Gosling. Yeah, so Gobby had a bit of an error on that last lap. And he'll drop down a fair few positions as a result. So Gosling, Rochford, Griffiths will move ahead. Patterson is 25 seconds worth of penalties. Murphy, good drive from him. P29 up to P16, even with the contacts made by Patterson. Still manages to do quite well.
Yep, and not using those tyres anymore. We'll be putting those in the bin when we finish the race. As we still have some drivers coming through at the tail end of the field.
Indeed, we do. It'll be Ning Chen, Miller, Jensen, and Gormley who will be rounding out. Gormley will be the last driver to cross the line. So we have Braid and another driver who are sitting in pit lane, I believe. No, Braid is the last driver there, so we've lost the driver out in all of this somewhere, I believe.
Fortunately, hopefully not too much of a disconnect. And as we have Gormley crossed the line, and we are done. Well done, Split Red, for race 1 at Snetterton.
Indeed, we'll get some quick results. There we go. So Hislop is already over at Silverstone, raring to go. But we'll get some quick results here in Snetterton. It's Samuel winning out, Johnson in second with the fastest lap, then Maddox, Ricciuti, and Squires, your top 5 for the silver class. It was Maddox, Squires, Hislop, Salvaggio, and Warren. Prime class, we had Chalmers, Viney, Curtis, Cricky, and Zavaka. Then in the AM class, it was Charitos, Gosling, Asplin, Miller, and Braid, who was in the pits at the end of the race.
Good race at the front, very, very tight. A couple of battle packs in the middle. I think on the whole, a couple of incidents expected to happen, but I think overall, really good racing, especially from P3 and P4 with Maddox, P2, P3, with Maddox and Ricciuti. No, that was 3 and 4.
Yeah, yes. Indeed, so we'll have a little bit of a interval while we wait for qualifying to get underway here at Silverstone. What were your thoughts on that race at Snetterton, Damiano?
It was pretty good. Racing at the front, really, really tight. Not a lot of offs at the front. really hard to overtake. A couple of drivers made some positions, mainly through other people's errors, unfortunately. Didn't really see any hard overtakes.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit of a quieter race. Snetterton, not the best road take, but we did see there were some moves further down the field, especially from the drivers who were perhaps a little bit more out of position. Like we had Murphy move up quite a few positions. We had Rochford move up after starting from pit lane. So there's definitely action that can be had. But yeah, you do get those races sometimes. But I am 100% certain that Silverstone will be a bit more exciting. I adore Silverstone.
Oh, so do I. I had some of my best results here at Silverstone circuit. I must admit, when I first started ACC, I loathed Silverstone. Did not want a bar of it. And now look what's happened. Got my first podium.
Yeah. You always remember the tracks you do very well. I think that's why I really like Mazzano. It's a track I've had very good results at in the past, so naturally, it gained some points there for me. But Silverstone I just absolutely love for pretty much all forms of racing, whether it be open wheelers, closed cockpit, or motorbikes. It always produces something exciting.
Well, what's it about Silverstone that you like about it? Is there a certain particular aspect, or you can't just say, oh, it's just all good. Yeah, what's a couple of finer points you like?
Okay, so Silverstone, it's a very wide track. It's one of the widest tracks in the game, as far as I'm aware. So it promotes that side-by-side racing, and it continues to promote that with the way that the corners are configured. So you have nice, wide, long radius corners that you can continue to go side-by-side through. And if you manage to hold around the outside, usually the next corner you're going to be on the inside. So you can find some really good side-by-side action around Silverstone. You can, in these slower GT3 cars, you can find that the drivers will be a little bit more brave at making some moves at corners where you wouldn't normally expect it. Example, cops. We've seen how that can go wrong in other forms of motorsport.
Yes.
But yeah, these drivers can look to try and make some brave but fair moves through there. But I think the main areas you're going to see overtakes will be through Stowe and into the Vale chicane, but also through Village and then Brooklands and Luffield. Like, there's quite a few opportunities where you can make those moves, but it's just about buying your time. But when you do get side by side, even if you just go a little bit of an overlap, you can usually force the issue a little bit because you just have so much room to work with compared to a track like Snetterton.
Yeah, all very good reasons. My reasons for liking the Silverstone circuit, I like the high commitment, high speed corners. So, Cope, Stowe, and Abbey. I'm not too hot at Abbey, but I just love the needle and the thread. And once you get that done, the speed you can carry through it, it's amazing. It's a good feeling.
Very much so, yeah. It definitely feels nice getting the corners right through Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel. And yeah, like that's all I can really say.
Yep. Just saw a comment in YouTube chat. No, it's not quali yet. It's free practice for a couple of minutes while everyone can join. Need to leave the Snetterton server and join a new server, the Silverstone circuit. So 2 completely new servers for the race tonight. So Snetterton and Silverstone, and they're all independent races. Unlike our normal super sprints, where we'll have on the same server, tonight's different.
Yeah, because we are working at multiple racetracks, we have to move around servers a little bit. So we're still just waiting for one driver to join, and then we'll carry across to qualifying. But it'll be the same format: 12-minute qualifying session followed by a 25-minute race. So yeah, should be finishing up in about 45 minutes, you would expect, but still plenty of action to come in the meantime.
Yeah, one thing I noticed about the race I did here last night was after about 15-20 minutes, I started dropping pace, and the car was getting a little bit difficult to drive from the tyre wear. And it wasn't just myself; it was all the lead drivers in the pack that I was in, the top P3 down to P8 or P10, all were having issues, and drivers were going off circuit. So that'll be something to keep an eye on for this race. We'll look at.
Yes.
It's like 7 minutes to go. We'll see how close it's going to get.
Yeah, the tyre situation around Silverstone, despite it only being a 25-minute race, can be quite harsh because you're going through so many fast corners constantly, and it's a clockwise layout around here. So the left-hand side is always going to be the side of the car that gets the most punished. So
yeah, and with it being a 25-minute race, potential for people driving on the quali setups, if a couple little tweaks, there's a high potential.
Indeed. Well, shouldn't be far away now. It's got some reasonable lap times being set. I mean, we saw that 57 time there from Shady Samuel. Very, very fast indeed. But we'll get a more representative expectation once the qualifying session gets underway. It looks like we might have company with Brenner Wells joining in. There we go. So we are now into the qualifying session. Brenner was thinking he'd have to do a last to not last challenge, but he might be able to do a little bit of a cheeky qualifying run, which will be good to see as he's right up there in the championship order.
Oh, that'd be good. Don't want to see anyone at a distinct disadvantage.
Indeed. So 12-minute qualifying here at the Silverstone circuit. We are running the from the old F1 pit lane, not the new F1 pit lane. So the first corner here is Cops rather than Abbey, but yeah, definitely makes things nice and interesting when they finish their formation lap and get underway, because it's very tricky when you've got multiple cars going side by side through Cops, then straight into Maggots and Beckett's.
Yeah, so for opening lap on quali, some people are getting pretty racy.
Indeed, yeah. Shady Sammy would be wanting to try and get through on this BMW very, very quickly, and does so. That's Gosling there, I believe.
Yep. It's a cold track, so
No,
we've
it's
got...
Carlos. Never mind. Hold on.
Yep, yep. Cold track. It's 12 degrees, so people who haven't adjusted their pressures and expecting a little bit warmer, because we think it's qualifying at 8 a.m. in the morning. Oof, a couple of copies for me by then. It'll take a few laps to get those tyres up.
Indeed. Hang on, no, that's Aspen. Okay, that's Aspen's. Okay, I just named all the BMWs in this split basically.
Excellent. As we see Hislop and the Nissan going through with Rich Hudi behind, going down. What's this one? Wellington Street. I don't know my streets well enough. As Hislop has pulled aside to let Rich Hudi through, but there's another car close behind.
Yeah, because they're on outlap, so they're just trying to get themselves into a nice order. But it's Ryan Anderson who is the first driver out on track and will be the first to set any full lap time, provided he doesn't invalidate. So we'll keep an eye on the team last name 98 Porsche. Anderson, who's a long-time member of you'll know his name very well. He comes through into Cops. It's a decent apex, and he'll just be looking to get some full lap time on the ground to start off with before he sets off properly on some really hot laps. But yeah, we'll see what Anderson can do.
It doesn't look to be taking the circuit too much. I'm thinking he's a bit down in the gear on a couple of corners, so maybe just letting the tyres warm up a little bit before a real hot lap the next lap.
Indeed, yeah. I would expect that from... Oh, excuse me. I would expect that from most of the drivers here. Despite it, only being a 12-minute qualifying session, you really only need to get 1 or 2 good laps in to get a representative qualifying position under your belt. So getting the tyres up to scuff will be crucial, because it is like nearly a 2-minute lap time around here.
Okay, we still got Murphy in the pits. Must be waiting for a little bit of tyre rubber to go down before heading out. Still plenty of time to do so. And someone else had entered the pits too. That was that car 27.
If Murphy's previous races anything to go by, he's doing the last to first.
Oh, well, he's got me again. You've done well.
He does not qualify, and just tries to go through in the race. It's a little bit more exciting for him, I believe. So, fair enough. If that's how he wants to go about it, that's more power to him.
It's got the first runner heading down the Wellington Straight. Be a few more seconds until we get a representative time coming through. 2 more cars behind. Looks like we have a couple spinners going off on Hamilton Straight.
Yes, coming out of Club. It's a tricky little complex to get right, and get that inside curb at Club. You are going to be launched in the air and sent around into a spin. But Ensign comes up to the line, 2 flat 9, immediately beaten by Salvaggio, who is immediately beaten by Squires with a brilliant time of 57.8. The Mustang, from what I know, very strong around here.
Oh yeah, a lot of straights and a big engine. What more could you ask for?
See what Shady Samuel can do. Ignore the lap time in the top left-hand corner. That is incorrect. Shady Samuel comes up to the line, and it is straight to the top of a 57 flat. He's looking straight in towards the 56s in this session.
And after his first rolling lap, this next one's going to be super hot.
It's got a couple drivers that he has to navigate around, but yeah, he's well clear of everyone. In fact, it's only the Mustangs in the 57s at the moment. Maddox in the McLaren doing well once again, but is 1.1 seconds off.
Oh yes, and even down P5, Pete Chalmers in the lead Porsche, 1 seconds off. People still getting their eye in and getting those tyres up. This next lap was going to be just going to be where it's all at.
Well, here is Rashidi. He is 6/10 up and is doing very well in the Sofa King slow car. Always got to slow down that team name a little bit. But coming up now into Village, he wants to get tight to the apex. He does so. Nice early apex there. Now through the loop, it's very tricky to find your braking marker and where you need to turn, and he does very well. He's gained 0.2 of a second, but on exit he does lose a little bit, so end up being a net 1/10 gain, which is very good still, as Johnston moves up into P3 and into the 57s, but Rashidi will also be moving into the 57s very, very shortly, and this is looking excellent so far from the Ferrari as he comes up through Luffield. Now, what's the exit going to be like for him? It's all right. He does lose a bit of time, so maybe right a little bit deeper into Luffield on his best lap time, but he's going to move up into P2 with a 57.5.
Very respectable time there. Shady Samuel coming through with 0.3 up with traffic in front, so it's hopefully the traffic doesn't impact too much.
Blim.
Yeah, dropped a bit of time leaving the exit and crossing the line 1/10 up, dropped a bit.
Just into the 56s.
Oh, all right, I'd go home with that. I'd take that.
No, not good enough. Only just into the 56s, absolutely washed.
Unbelievable. That is the rocket time.
Long Lee is actually pretty close there in the Mercedes. He's only a 10.5 off, so perhaps Samuel won't be breathing so easily at the moment as Johnston now. He's looking to find some time in the Bentley. So far, this would put him up into P4, but he's still got a few corners left. He's got the Wellington Straight to navigate, then Brooklands, Luffield, and Woodcote. To be fair, Woodcote's barely a corner anyways, so really it's just Brooklands and Luffield. As we have news in from the stewards, car number 8 has received a 4-place grid penalty for a qualifying infraction. Car number 8, that is McLeod. Is it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I was checking. I was scrolling down the list.
Yep. All right. Cool. Just double checking. Cool.
Look at Chalmers on a good lap here. 7/10 up, 1.4 behind. So they'll push. Having a good finish. That's a P5 we're looking at here. So that's a very good time there by Porsche.
Yeah, and very good time from the pros. I mean, I always find that Silverstone seems to be very good for the drivers who are maybe a bit lower down in the class level. So usually we see like some surprise performances from pros, but particularly the silver class drivers. Silver class drivers really come into their own around Silverstone. But here comes Chalmers up to the line. There's a few drivers also improving around him, and he moves up. P8, solid time from Chalmers.
Oh, here's the replay.
So this is McLeod, and oh, that's clumsy.
Yeah, unnecessary. Absolutely unnecessary. Sorry to say.
Yeah, that was avoidable to say the least, but he'll learn from it and move on.
Unfortunately, the only good thing out of that would happen early in the piece, so the impacted driver can quickly go back to pits and head out again and still get a good run in. And speaking of good runs, Squires 0.4 up. Again, the red timer when it's over 2 minutes, we naturally assume it's on a hot lap and a good lap.
Yes, and it does seem like this is a good lap. Although he's gotten very deep into Village. Can he get it turned nicely for the loop? Seems a little bit wide of the apex again, so still maintains that 4/10 buffer to his previous best time. But you sense it could be a lot better.
Yeah, I think so. Judging the timer being red, and I did see him going to pits before, this I think is his first flying lap on these tyres, so the next lap will probably be a bigger improvement.
Indeed,
So
the track seems to continually be improving, and now coming through what is kind of the final corner, still about 4/10 up. This should move him up to about P3.
Crossing the line.
Oh no, P4 is Breno Ellis is actually there in P3. He's a bit further ahead. Never mind. Hislop though, once again showing some good pace in that Nissan, has really come alive in this round. Seems to understand the British tracks very well.
Yeah, as you're saying, and what I heard with the Nissan as well, it gets to its top speed very quickly. As it crossing the line, 3/10 up, looking
P7.
at a P7. So it's tight.
It's very tight. Here is Long Lee. So this will be a hot lap for Long Lee, and right now he is set to go ahead of Shady Samuel on the estimates that we're seeing there.
Absolutely, you are very right there, saying that the circuit's ramping up. It certainly is. Everyone's improving across the board.
Very exciting indeed. We're going to have a grandstand finish in this qualifying session. A lot of the drivers will be crossing the line now. We'll be starting their final laps. Keep an eye on where Shady Samuel is. Shady Samuel is still on an out lap here, so we'll only have one opportunity to potentially retake that pole position away from Long Lee, provided Long Lee actually does finish this lap. And right now, it's looking good.
Long Lee was actually 0.4 up at one stage and just had a little slide through that corner. More time to come from this driver.
And he'll have one more lap to do it as well, as he does get up to about 4/10 up now. So it's very tight indeed. It loses a little bit going through Luffield. Wonder if the driver on the outside just hinted him a little bit, but he comes up to the line. And it is a 56.845. Took Long Lee. Provisional pole so far.
That's super hot time. We have Ellis coming into match of time as well. 0.3
This is
up.
going to be close. This is going to be really close. What's the speed like on the exits? Not the greatest, but still going to get him ahead of Shady Samuel, I believe. It's going to be tight. Yes, he does by 0.04 of a second. And that's Breno Ellis' session done. So it's all down to what Shady Samuel can do. And so far, halfway through the lap, it's not enough.
We in for an upset for pole.
I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, it is starting to come to Shady Samuel. It's hovering around. Oh, it's hovering between good enough and not good enough. It's going to be tough for him, but we shall see. I mean, he did lose a lot of time going through Luffield on his last lap, so there's going to be a bit of time for him to gain there. But yeah, like it's. Oh, I'm not too sure about this one.
The delta is there. It's waving around, evens and up. A couple of corners to go. One car in front, potentially getting a little slipstream.
It won't be nearly as good of a slipstream as he got on his previous run.
Very true. We also
this is where he lost a lot of time, and look at the amount of time he gains through there. Can he find it? Going through Luffield. Can he get the exit he desires? It's looking very, very good. It's good enough. It's going to be Shady Samuel finding that time right at the death here to retake provisional pole. Is there anyone behind that can potentially challenge for that? I don't think there is. No, so Shady Samuel gets it right at the death.
As Squires invalidated the lap.
Squires is in the pits.
Yep, and he's returned to the pits. Rich Udy's still rolling. Doing? Last one to finish is Rich Udy.
Let's have a look.
Watching the timer. And
he does improve to P4, but only to P4, so Shady Samuel does manage it.
Wow, that was some hot qualifying right there. That was remarkable.
Yeah. Oh, very exciting now. Honestly, more exciting than what we had at Snetterton for the entire 12-minute qualifying, 25-minute race.
Oh, it had it all, didn't it? Had it all.
So going down the grid, it is Samuel and Longley, the front row, the Mustang and the Mercedes. Then we have Bruno Ellis in the Logitech Audi, Raschuti in the Sofa King Slow 164 Ferrari there in P4. Squires leading the silver class there in the 96 Mustang. Johnston P6. Johnston will be a little bit disappointed with that, but he'll be looking to fight back a little bit more in this 25-minute race coming up. Hislop, once again, P7, if you don't mind, this time second in the silver class, just ahead of Ramez Samuel in P8 in the 223 Mercedes. Mercedes seems pretty well hooked up around here. Warren, P9 once again in the 222. Porsche, then Chalmers, the lead pro driver in the 78 Porsche there in P10 overall. Maddox a little bit disappointing to see him down in P11, but the McLaren seems to be struggling a little touch around here, as Salvaggio is also down in P12, making it an all McLaren 6th row. Zavaka in the 99 Nissan is there in P13 with Rochford alongside. Hopefully Rochford actually remembers that he needs to hit drive to actually start this race.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. I mean that in a nice way. Sorry, Rochford. I don't mean it in a negative way. And keep going for your good walk. You're doing very good at it.
Yep. So then we have Gobby in the 72 Porsche in P15. Patterson, who had a tricky race at Snetterton, looking to bounce back in P16 in the 21 Ferrari. Cricky, once again, doing reasonably well in the 87 Nissan. The Nissan seem to be on a good show of, on a good form line for the British tracks, as Carados is the lead M-Class driver once again in P18. Then we have Viney and Jensen in 19th and 20th. Your 10th row at the grid there of the Porsche and the Audi. Hopefully Jensen can keep out of the way of any pinballs coming through turn 1 this time. Curtis there, P21 with Gormley in P22. McLeod will face a 4-place grid penalty, dropping him down from P23 all the way to P27, if my maths is correct. Then we have the Golf-inspired Porsche there of, hold on, let's see this. That's Miller there in the 62. Then we have in the 98, that's Anderson, followed by Blake Griffiths there in the Nissan, a little bit further down compared to her Nissan counterparts. Then we have Gosling, and they're all starting to make their move now. So, hooray! Off they go.
Again, Lexi, great job. I'm very impressed how you read through those cars there. It's going to be a good race. There are a lot of tight times, so I'm expecting those times to be reflected in the racing, and it's going to be really interesting watching how Longley goes.
Well, it's not just going to be how tight the field is, but also how they handle these cold track conditions. Of course, it's only just past 9 a.m. here at Silverstone. Track temp is 14 degrees. Ambient temp is 14 degrees. So nice and cool for these drivers to deal with.
Yep, it's going to be some blue tyres on those cars getting around for sure.
Oh, yes, they're going to have to do a lot of weaving to get them up to temperature around today. You can see that.
Close those brake ducts, overheat those tyres. It'll probably be too much, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, what wasn't there used to be a strategy of like dragging the brakes as you were going along to keep the tyres warmed up?
On the formation lap, 100% do that. Get your tyres up. And,
is that still a thing?
Yeah. Drag your brakes. The weaving doesn't do much. It's most of the heat comes from the brakes and the calipers injecting the heat into the tyre. The weaving, not so much. Because the speeds are too low, is my understanding.
Oh, okay. Because that was still a thing the last time I was racing in ACC. And it's still, okay, well, right, yep.
Yep, yeah, the tyres can get heat from the corners, but you've got to be at high speeds.
Yeah, you have to be at a much higher speed for it, so you have to put a lot of forces through the tyres to actually get that heat through them. Otherwise, yeah, you're just going to be putting unnecessary wear through them, really.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and the last thing you want to hear, you hear the scrubbing noise, and that's just grip disappearing.
What?
So, exactly. The tire grip for the outer bit. On these tires, I'm told that the first layer of all the tires is like quali rubber. It's just like a little spray, and then when that wears off, it goes down to the regular tread.
Yeah.
So when you're weaving and you're scrubbing that, you're dropping a little bit of grip. I have some facts for Silverstone. Again,
Go
built
ahead.
on a World War II airfield, and which opened in 1943 for bomber training. The first official race was in 1947 as a cast form double file. Quickly get through this. And the first race was called the Mutton Grand Prix because someone drove and hit a sheep on the track.
Oh no.
All right, and coming through the last corner, I'll let you take the call.
No worries, thank you very much, Damiano. We've got Samuel, Longley, Ellis, Raschuti, Squires, Johnston, Hislop, Samuel, Warren, and Chalmers. Your top 10 as we come up for 25 minutes here at Silverstone for race 2 of the evening. Longley needs to get back over to the correct side of the grid or else he's going to get a penalty for being out of position. And we are now... Wait for it. Underway here at Silverstone. It's a bit of a delayed start, and that's caught a few drivers out. Hislop has had to go very deep to try and avoid the Porsche on the inside, and there's contact, and around goes Hislop, and another driver there. Very unfortunate circumstances, but that can always happen at turn 1 at Silverstone. I am curious where Longley will get away penalty-free of that, as he needed to be over where the grid boxes are, and he was definitely nowhere near where the grid boxes were, so that's going to be interesting there. But there's another driver around. It's the 666 to Gormley once again having an absolute mare as we watch. Yeah, there's Hislop, so unfortunate, doing so well this round, and now they're going 3 wide further back. That is never going to end well, but perhaps through Stowe they can manage to work it out, as looks like Raschuti is all over the back of Ellison, tries to stick the nose up the inside, not going to get it done there. As now we see, there's a little bit of contact with the Ferrari and the Porsche in the background, but they managed to deal with it in the end. And it seems like beyond that opening skirmish, we are away nice and clean with Samuel leading Longley, Ellis, and Raschuti is right there. Can he go for a move coming up into Village? I don't think so. Looks like Ellis has managed to get enough of a gap.
Yeah, Raschuti being very strong on the brakes the previous round. He's going to be just as strong in the brakes on this round. Having backed out of that turn as they go down the Hamilton Straight. Wellington Straight. Wellington Straight.
Could see quite a few moves being made in the background. There's a car, it's a 62. That is Miller, who has gone around one of the AMCOS cars, and there's another driver around as well. That looks like the 83. So a little bit of contact has been made going through the loop, which can always happen, but unfortunately that has left a few drivers stranded. Yeah. Oh yeah, just a little bit clumsy from Miller in the end, and that was the contact on the 83 Mustang there of Curtis.
Fortunately turned around there. And fastest lap by Shady, yeah.
Longley hasn't let him go away though. He's only half a second off, but again, I'm just unsure of that race start from Longley, whether that will stand as a valid race start from him.
Yeah, caught my eye as well, but it's a stewarding decision, that one, so I'll leave it to the stewards to decide on that. He did, the driver did pull across to the left near the start, so was that enough? We'll find out.
We shall see indeed, yeah. One of those situations where I'm glad I am not a steward and instead can just commentate and say what I believe in here as we watch now. It was a great start from the 222 there, and yeah, there's just a little bit of a Constantine, yeah, that's a bit of a racing incident for me.
Yeah, it's very busy there. Backed out and put a couple other people off a little bit. Easy to do. You're all hypertensioned up there.
Yeah, there was nothing much really could have been done there. Hislop was in the middle and just trying to find the space. Probably saw the Porsche move to the inside. There's another car around going through the Vale chicane as we watch
that was
now.
Pete Viney.
Yeah, this will be the contact, and it is. Oh no!
Whoopsie! Oh, got clipped on the way through as well.
That was lucky.
Yeah, that could be life-ending for both cars.
But that
Missed this breaking point for sure.
Yeah, just missed the breaking point and trying to avoid it however he could. And yep.
For young players out there, if you miss your breaking point and looking like you're going to click the car in front, go to the outside the corner, not the inside if you can.
Yeah, I can see what he was doing. Unfortunately, it was just the wrong way. As Shady Samuel now has left Longley in the dust. 1.1 seconds clear with a 57.2, if you don't mind, for fastest lap. As
Wow.
that is a nice drift there from Johnston.
That 57.2 was effectively P4 for qualifying. That's how fast.
Wow, that's quick. That's very quick.
It looks like got a bit of a Porsche train here with Anderson and Murphy. Murphy's
Anderson
had
in a nice position here in P17. That's really good for Anderson. He's capitalised on a bit of chaos as Samuel. He's up the inside there of Gosling. Has he managed to get that move done? I think he has, but that looked very tight going through there.
Looked very calculated and meticulous and threaded.
No, he hasn't. Gosling managed to stay ahead. That's well defended in the end then.
Well, going down into Sstone, side by side, two Porsches. Oh, clipped the corner, bit of a bounce, sideways. No driving.
Yeah, okay. And Chris Murphy once again making plenty of moves throughout the field. He won't be too happy with that side bump there from Anderson, but he knows he has the pace to get through on Anderson. It's just a matter of when that happens, I suppose.
Yeah, I wasn't paying full attention, but Murphy definitely did it stuff in the back, correct?
I'm pretty sure he's right at the back, yeah.
Yeah, he's made a lot of places up in a space of 2 or 3 laps, looking very strong under brakes in Village.
And here he has a look into the loop. You're not going to get it done there with that sort of, yeah. But either way, he looks very quick.
So these two are forming a bit of a gap to the cars in front. So we got Gobi up front and sub
56.9 in the race. Stop it, Shady. That is ridiculous.
And now it's just showing off. Well done. Talent is what talent does, and he's got the talent.
Oh, well and truly. Rashidi's dropped off a little bit from Ellis. I think he's made a little bit of an error through turn 1, as that's allowed Aiden Squires to get a little bit closer and Ellis to get a little bit further away. Although through Maggots and Beckett's, he's managed to find that quiet time right back. Yeah,
riding on board with Squires, and we can see Rich Udy just stretch it out a little bit. Got a much better drive out of the exit through Abbey there. Going a little bit deep there through Stove, correcting it back in, and coming back into this clutches of Squires.
Yeah, it's just ebbing and flowing right now. It's very interesting to see how that all transpires. I mean, very different cars are the Audi, Ferrari, and the Mustang. The Audi likes to have a few moments from time to time. The Ferrari, pretty well rounded, but equally likes its own moments, and the Mustang is just raw power.
Yep, power when you need it. I think get close to that grass. It's you hit that grass and it just puts you up, steps the car so much you can't take the next corner properly. You can lose quite easily 3/10 just through that little section.
You can lose a bunch of time that way. And Rashidi right now, I think he's just a little overeager on the brakes at the moment. He's just trying to get close enough to Ellis to make a move, but seems to make these little errors throughout that just prevent him from getting close enough.
Yeah. I wonder if he's feeling still confident from their braking. And who are we with here? We're in a McLaren.
This will be, so that's Griffiths ahead. This is, no, that's Zavaka ahead, never mind. That was just a bit of a moment there. Probably from Salvaggio, I think that was.
Yeah, getting a bit crossed up, but kept it straight. Excellent job.
Yeah, really nicely done. Managing to hold on to that one. It's not easy to do, especially through such a fast corner, but manages it pretty well. Meanwhile, Murphy's still behind Anderson, so Anderson's defending very well at the moment and has a huge train of cars behind him. He's got 4 seconds ahead of him and nothing behind him.
You know who's had a good start? Mr. Crick, P12.
He's up to P12, yeah. He's avoided all of the collisions, can you believe it?
I can indeed. He's a good driver. He's pretty safe.
I know he's very safe, but he just has awful luck.
Well, what was Murray Walker saying? If he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all.
Exactly. As here we go. This is the move we were waiting for. Murphy is having a look to the inside of Anderson, but he can't get the overlap at the moment. So is he going to have to dive it? He has a look, but Anderson brakes very late, too late in fact, and that should be the position for Murphy now. Ramez is going to try and go for it around the outside of the Vale chicane. He's not going to get it done. So Anderson does hold on to P18, but loses P17 to Murphy. And now Ramez is under a bit of pressure from Charitos.
The Porsche of Anderson, I noticed had some damage on the rear there, so that Porsche's getting a bit of a handful now in all the high-speed corners.
Oh, Ramez, that is not the line.
Stays on the dark stuff. You watch the rejoin in the breakdown zone. Good.
Okay, it's fine. Crisis averted. As Savaggio is now all over the back of Zavaka and looking at P9, but equally Chalmers is looking to get his way back into the Pro-Am class lead. Now Zavaka has left the door open on the outside for Salvaggio, but is doing nicely to justice for Cricky on the back I saw there. So clearly joining the Cricky protection squad. And so far, the 99 is in P9.
That was a really close racing there. So we've got Salvaggio right on the back of Savaka and right under the wing. That must have been so close.
You'd almost need to ride on the back there. If you can read this, you are too close.
Yeah, make that in like one font.
No. Make it in the largest font you possibly can. So just tell the drivers that you are too close at all times. That's a great run for Salvaggio, but just can't find the room to use the overspeed against Zavaka, and that might allow Chalmers. Oh, there's a bit of contact there between the two. And Chalmers is going to try and go around the outside. He's needed to switch it to the inside, but he can't do it. That got very tight. Now, Salvaggio with a bit of overspeed.
Whoa, bit of dumping.
Little bit of bumping, little bit of grinding, but looks like Salvaggio has managed to get through there. And now Chalmers around the outside does move back into the Pro-Am lead. And now it's going to be Cricky who's looking to get up into second in the Pro. Wait, Cricky's P3 in the Pro-Am class at the moment.
Go, Mike. You can do it, buddy. Keep it going.
Well, he had a look there, and that's compromised his run. Is that going to allow Patterson up the inside? He does defend the line, so Patterson can't make the move. But it's tight for the Pro-Am class right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, all in a line.
Watching the timing chart just flip around as well as we have Chalmers leading Savaka and Crick and Patterson in Pro-Am class.
Yes, Chalmers just got through on Zavaka that we saw before with the move that Salvaggio made.
And we're looking at 2 seconds between 4 cars. So what's happened here? It's gone in, had to get a little tap from behind on the exit. Oh, I think that's good. The limit, bit of push. And
play on for me. That I felt like Zavaka maybe could have left a little bit more room, but equally Salvaggio sticking your nose up in there was probably a little bit over here, so I think that's enough 50-50 there for it to just be play on. But now Chalmers is right on the back of Salvaggio and looking to get up in the P9.
Chalmers looking very racy in the Porsche going through Beckett's complex, doing it well.
For a second there, I thought he was going to try and dive it up the inside chapel. That would have been death imminent right there.
Would have been pretty epic. Probably drive underneath him between the wheel tracks, sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm imagining.
Chalmers looks excellent right now. He's got a lot of pace in that Porsche. He just runs a little bit wide through the exit of Stowe. Now coming up to the Vale chicane, can't get close enough to Salvaggio on this occasion to make the move, and Salvaggio and McLaren will be able to just stretch the legs a little bit at the moment. Yeah.
A couple of little battle packs there. We got Maddox and Warren again. Maddox being under huge pressure from Warren, only 0.6 behind for a Porsche on the McLaren. That'll be an interesting battle. And again, another McLaren and a Porsche with Salvaggio and Chalmers.
Yeah, so Maddox has made up quite a few positions. Maddox and Salvaggio did start alongside each other on the 6th row of the grid, and they're now P7 and P9 respectively, so making a good recovery in this race so far. But yeah, definitely Warren is looking tight there. Warren was the driver who was involved in the little skirmish involving the Nissan of Hislop earlier on.
Yeah, getting back to the Maddox of Salvaggio qualifying, it's the delta in qualifying was 0.03 of a second.
Oof,
So
tight.
equally performing cars. So it's going to be an interesting one going through for the rest of the race.
Very much so. As we move further down to what Gobby is doing. He's behind Jensen at the moment, who's held on the P15 nicely. The 95 Audi having a much better race so far, as Gobby's got one eye forward and one eye behind him, because Murphy is starting to close in as well.
Be interesting if this group starts battling, then the next two cars behind them being lost at Anderson and Samuel are also in a tight battle with Chariotus and leading Am. Very close. So we could have potentially have a 5-car battle.
Indeed, yes. I'd say, yeah, Anderson hasn't really dropped behind Murphy as much as I would have expected, so driving a very good race as Anderson so far. Definitely the strongest I've seen of him this season yet, as now Gobby continues to get closer and closer to Jensen. He's going to try for Ruby now. He's too far back going into the Vale chicane, and he's still got a good enough gap to Murphy as the 666 of Gormley goes around further back.
Oh, he has not had a good round. What's
Had a good season.
Oh, the season as well. Oh, that's a... Oh, I feel
He's
for you, brother.
been caught up in some form of incident at pretty much every opportunity.
What do you think? Oh, as we have Gobi looking Jensen looking super racy. Murphy behind, heaps deep under braking. They all get the apex really well.
Yeah, this could be very interesting over the next lap. Gobby looks like he's getting close to Jensen. Murphy's looks like he's getting close to Gobby, and Gosling's picked up a 10-second penalty. Joy. Let's have a look. This is Gormley, who has had a rough time, and yeah, that's just out. That is Audi Tings. Oh, out. Great presence of mind to hold the brakes there. Great presence of mind to hold the brakes.
Too easy to roll back. Oh, we got Patterson P13 getting a pen. That's going to upset that. That can drop him well down the pack. Oh no, this
One position.
2 positions at the moment. Only 5 seconds.
Yes. As Bruce Miller picks up a 15-second penalty, of course, he clicks on that one. Bruce Miller is further down the pack now. Number 62 has had a bit of a tough time this race, so yeah, 15 seconds going his way.
And this is about the time of the race I was suggesting earlier when we were on the warm-up lap that the tyres were starting to go off, so we'll see if there's people start understeering their cars.
Yes, indeed, we'll have to keep an eye on this now. Gobby is getting very, very close to Jensen. Is he going to try and go around the outside? You're not going to get much done there, but he might get the over. Oh, he's got to be careful because Murphy looks very racy as well. Oh, that's nice and loose. Now, Murphy's going to try and go around the outside, but no, he backs out of it. And Gobby goes very deep. Great presence of mind from Jensen to see that coming.
That was excellently done.
Ended poorly. And now Murphy sticks the nose up the inside of Club Corner. Never going to get it done there, but Murphy looks racy now. He's going to get through on the inside into Abbey, and that's going to be Murphy up to P16.
You think Gobby just let the driver through?
Yep, because Gobby knows that Murphy is faster, and if Murphy can make a move on Jensen, perhaps Gobby can follow him through.
Good strategy there, thinking along the race all the way.
Murphy is not Gobby's battle here. His battle is with Jensen, and he can perhaps use the speed that Murphy has to get ahead, as Chalmers is still on the back of Salvaggio, but hasn't really made any inroads for the past few laps.
Yeah, for me, when I was driving the Porsche, this time at the race, it was got a bit understeery. I was losing a lot of front-end grip, so we'll see how Chalmers works this through.
Well, he's a second down on his best, unlike his best lap time, so
yeah.
It definitely looks like he's starting to lose that grip.
Yep, you probably find some of the other drivers as well are equally dropping the same pace, because the gaps aren't still pretty close to where they were about three laps ago, through the field. Although with Shady Samuel leading the race with the fastest lap from Longley with 2 seconds. Then we have Ellis, Ricciuti, and Squires and Johnson. The gaps at the leaders are actually a second and a bit out. As we have Murphy here pushing extra pressure on Jensen. It's going to have a bit of a run. It's going to be challenging with the Audi. Does the Audi have a good straight line pace? We'll find out.
It's fine. The Audi straight line pace, I mean, compared to the Porsche, anything is better straight line pace.
Even the Lambo. Oh. I heard the Lambo's not too great in the straight line.
You see, my only knowledge of the Lambo is the old Lambo.
I have it under Lambo sadness.
That's contact. They touched, and now Gobby's going to try and go through. Is he going to have his through goes Hamilton moment as Viney picks up a 15-second... Oh, my lord.
That was an abort maneuver if I ever saw one.
Yeah. Everything is happening. Ramez is trying to get through on Gobby, trying to capitalize on everything that's happened there. Murphy, who was looking at P15, is now down in P18.
Wow. The thing, I swear it's the tire delta doing some of this, because you don't have the braking performance and it's just catching people out when it's so tight. I'm sticking with that.
Wow, that could have ended far, far worse. The fact that all four of these cars are still pointed at a straight line.
And only some minor contacts as well.
Yes, because there was the contact between Murphy and Jensen that sort of kick-started all of that. Just a little bit, eager there from Murphy trying to get the overlap. Didn't have enough of an overlap to really force that move. And that was tight. That was really tight.
Well, we'll see the handling of the Mercedes first. Whoa, okay.
What handling?
That was the fastest competitive first I've ever seen.
What handling exactly are we talking about here? Oh dear, Gormley picks up a 10-second penalty for being out of position on lap 1. So there was at least one driver out of position on lap 1.
Well, here we go. We got Murphy having a look.
No, not against the Mercedes there.
Could have been out braking into Stowe there. Maybe.
Yeah, I think going into Vale might be the best opportunity for Murphy. Seems to get a much better run. And there we go. Took only 10-second penalty for out of position on lap 1. I did say it looked a bit sketch, and unfortunately for Chuk Long Lee, he wasn't far enough over. He wasn't over the grid boxes enough.
Yep, the pressure of being on the front of the grid. There's no one to guide you around. Yep, that'll be an experience learned.
Well and truly, he's going to be kicking himself after this one. Oh, yeah. That looks close.
Yes, we have Jensen is defending pretty heavily through the village there, and it's pretty put Samuel off a little bit.
Yeah, to be fair, this whole battle is just intense as Johnston has closed up to N Squires. N Squires has really dropped pace. That Mustang is not handling its tyres well at all. The Bentley does have some good pace and might be looking at P5 in this race.
And watching these guys screw Maggots Beckett's, Squire's a bit bumpy through there. Looking like the Bentley's got a better handling through there. We get down to straight line speed and we'll see what the power's like. Because
the Mustang is better, but the Bentley has the slipstream and isn't too shabby in a straight line either, so they'll be pretty well matched in a straight line, I would say. As here is Ramez trying to get through on Gobby again and just can't do it, and Murphy overcooking it into Maggots. That kills any opportunity he has of trying to get through on Samuel through there. It's all happening in the final stage of this race. We've only got 2 minutes to go. This race is absolutely flown by.
It's a good race. There's plenty going on. It's a fast circuit, a fast action. It's been wonderful. Looking like we've got 2 laps to go from where we are on this lap as the leader is coming through the village area.
Yes, this is the penultimate lap we are on now. Gobby trying to look around the outside into the Vale chicane. Jensen defending nicely. But can Gobby get the overspeed and force an error out of Jensen? I don't think so. He's going to have a look up the inside of Abbey. This is going to be treacherous. Can he do it? Gobby Has he gotten through? Yes, he has. Oh, Samuel and Murphy having to react to it. Now Jensen sends it. He absolutely dives to the inside. Can he hold it? Gobby now has the inside line. There's maybe a little bit of contact. No, they avoid contact. And now Ramez is going to try and get a little bit of an overlap on Jensen. Looks like Gobby might be through. Ramez gets the overlap and has the speed to try and get through on Jensen. Jensen's brave defense of P15 is over. And it looks like he might drop P15. No, they're all around. They are all around, and somehow Gobby's managed to save it. Ramez is not so lucky, and Chris Murphy, I'm sorry, but what are you doing?
Racing hard, racing close. That was so good for so long. Unfortunately, a misjudgment has finished that. But we will continue for the rest of the race. We're on the last lap.
That was great battling right up until that last moment there. Just miscalculation on the brake from Murphy, seeing all the battle in front of him, wanting to get involved, and clean into the back of Ramez. That's going to be a big penalty coming his way.
I think so.
Bit of a mistake from Johnston there. That will kill his attempts at P5, as here is the potential move. He tries to get up the inside. Yeah, that's never happening. He was always going to be going deep. But, and staying on a racing lot. No, that's... I'm sorry. But Anderson probably should have done a bit better to try and avoid that. And then Anderson spun around McLeod. Yep. That's the last few laps of a race like this. But it's not us. It's not us that the judges. That's up to the stewards to decide. That's happened. Let's move on. So we've got Shady Samuel coming around the final corner now. He has been excellent once again, and he's going to continue his 100% winning run in Split Red for this season. Shady Samuel wins once again for race 2, this one at Silverstone, ahead of Long Lee, but Long Lee will drop back with his 10-second penalty, so it'll be Ellis and Rashidi rounding out the podium. Can Squires get close enough to try and get ahead of Long Lee? I think he has done it. Johnston, maybe not quite. So I think Long Lee will end up being P5 in the end. Maddox in 7th, Warren in 8th, and there'll be Salvaggio and Chalmers nice and close there. I think Salvaggio will hold on. Yes, he does, just ahead of Chalmers. Then Zavaka and Crick. Cricky on the Pro-Am podium, just ahead of Rochford and Patterson.
Well done, Mr. Crick. Get a podium. Waiting for Gobby to come through from that battle pack with Jensen, following in suit for P16 and P17. Cherry toss, well done. And the Mercedes slowed down at the flag there over Samuel, Griffiths, Anderson. Finally finished through McLeod and Hislop, P23.
Yeah, good recovery from Hislop. That'll be Gosling, Curtis, Braid, Ninchan, Asplin, Gormley, and Miller. Looks like Murphy did end up disconnecting from that race.
Still some people driving through. Got 4 more cars across the line, as you've called them before. That was a pretty epic race. We'll just leave that one event out. We'll let stewards unpack that. But wow, that was a pretty spectacular race.
Indeed, it was. Yeah, very, very entertaining. Just we'll focus on most of those 25 minutes, but I think about 23, 24 minutes worth of that. It was really, really good. Like, really exciting, really entertaining, like engaging, as there's a little bit of a kiss between the Porsches there.
I think it's there's some Kovacs teammates there having a bit of a barbecue.
A mating session, if you will.
yeah. Abstain. No comments. Rich Hootie pulls up P3 due to the pen from Long Lee, so got that nicely back from race 1.
Yep, nicely done from Rashidi. Does get the podium in the end. And Ellis there will be P2 after that penalty as well. So solid as we look at Gosling is further down the track. I think, just waiting on the time of the route because Miller is in the pits. So will be P30 and last of the classified drivers there. But yeah, no, really solid race there from Split Red. But Shady Samuel just untouchable yet again.
Very quick driver, maintains the lead in the championship. And we see temperatures now gone 15. It's well begun.
Yes, it's getting nice and balmy there in Silverstone. very hot 15 degrees there. That'll be a heat wave over in the UK.
All right. So who would you think your driver of the series, being the two races today?
Driver of the two races. I mean, it's hard to go past Chase Emma. That's the obvious choice. I do think Hislop deserves a mention for the qualifying efforts. If it wasn't for that incident at the start of this race, it would have been a very, very good round for him. So I think he deserves a lot of credit as well. But we'll quickly go through an order here. Samuel from LS Raschuti, Squires, and Longley, your top 5. So Longley did manage to get ahead of Johnson in the end. Squires, Maddox, Warrant, Salvaggio, and Gobby, your top 5 in the silver class. Pro-Ams, it was Chalmers, Zavaka, Cricky, Rochford, and Patterson. Then in the AM class, it was Charisos, Gosling, Braid, Asplin, and Miller. But yes, if I had to pick a driver of the round, it would probably be Hislop, just for the strong, consistent performances in the Nissan, and could have been a lot better had it not been for the bad luck at the race start of this one.
For me, I'm picking Ricciuti. He just make my heart pound in his love of being so good under brakes. I was enjoying watching that every lap.
Indeed. Well, that will do it for us here tonight at Snetterton and Silverstone for round 3 of the Octane Online Racing Simrigs Sprint Series. We will be back next week, of course, with more Sprint Series action and, of course, Le Mans Ultimate on the Thursday night before Split Red. But until then, we will bid you all farewell. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Lexi. See everybody.